Oh boy, Cub fans, are we jumping off ledges? Hopefully one of us can calm you down. I know one guy here that might be going off the edge, but we'll see what we can do. We got Cubs Brewers next week. We got to finish off this Crosstown Classic. Trade deadline talk. We'll take a look ahead and take a look at a couple minor leaguers. One that's coming up a little limp, someone who we thought could help us down the stretch. Also, baseball history yesterday. We're going to get into probably the rookie of the year in the AL right after this. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to 4-Star Chicago Sports. This is the Northside Nine, and it is a dreary Saturday, like it's been dreary on the north side for the last week. Subpar teams are taking it to the Chicago Cubs. They're losing the arms race, and I know everybody's up in arms, but let's keep things in perspective. The Detroit Tigers just got swept by the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's baseball. The Yankees are going through it. The Dodgers can't win a series. I mean, it's happening all around the league. Kyle, I know you're pissed. Let's talk about it.
I'm not pissed.
Well, okay. I know you're not happy. How about that?
I mean, Sean, this for me personally, and people could say, "Oh, Kyle's overreacting to this Royals and White Sox stretch." This is the Cubs. I've said since day one of this podcast, well, the first day we were on together, you can go back and watch it. This is not a World Series team. And I don't think the pitching that they need to win a World Series is available via the trade. I just don't think it's there, Sean. It's not there. And if there was guys, say there was a Max Fried available, or and a Chris Sale, and say there was three major aces available in the trade by the trade deadline, then I would be all for the Cubs making those trades. But first of all, they're not there. Second of all, basically you're a victim of circumstance if you're Jed Hoyer and the Chicago Cubs. You're going to trade away, and Sean, you're the one who sent it to me. He's saying now that Jefferson Rojas is available, Jackson Wiggins is available. You're going to trade some of the best prospects in all of baseball to chase World Series in a year where there's the trade deadline's just not that sexy, Sean. There's just not that many great players available at the trade deadline. Like if this was a year where you're trading away all your best prospects and getting studs back, they're going to be on this team for a long time. Sure, I'm all about it, but you're not getting studs back. You're getting average Joes back and you're going to trade away your entire farm system for these guys. It doesn't make any sense to me. They're just a victim of circumstance, Sean. We've seen trade deadlines before where some of the best pitchers in the world were available. And if that was the case this year, I'd say go all in. The problem with the Cubs is it's 2025, and that's just not the case.
Well, I agree and kind of disagree because let's put it this way. You go all in, you're close. And the way I'm looking at it is this is still a good baseball team hitting a very rough stretch right now. And I know it doesn't look good on the surface. There are holes on this team, and we've talked about these holes over the past 4 months. But I do see ways that this team can compete for a World Series because I'm going to take show to start yesterday and say, yeah, it was a bad one. The guys had bad starts here and there. And let's not forget, just before the All-Star break, the Cubs got their teeth kicked in Game 1 versus the Yankees. They lost 11-0. They came back and dominated the next 2 days and won those games and put themselves in position to be or hold the division into the All-Star break, which they're only a game behind. So I'm not fretting. Next week, we'll see what happens when they get with the Brewers.
Yeah.
But
I mean, this is not a situation in which Colin Ray is inconsistent. He had a couple bad games this past week, or he had a bad.
But I'm not worried about Colin Ray.
No,
I'm not worried about Colin Ray.
This is not a situation where we're talking about guys who weren't all that important to this team and they really never plan on using the playoffs. We're talking about Presley has looked awful. Flexen has looked awful. Pomerantz has looked. I mean, their entire pitching staff has looked like shit for the last week. You can't replace 16 players on the team. Oh yeah, Sean. And by the way, they still obviously do not trust their third baseman because they're not playing him while he's hitting 400. And on top of that, they have one of the worst offensive benches in all of baseball. I mean, the Cubs need 7 players to win a World Series.
Ah,
I mean,
I,
Bruhan
we're-
is still playing for this team. If you ever seen a World Series team
I
that has a
think.
Bruhan on it, ever?
Well, we were just talking backstage here just a little bit, and watching Mike Tauchman hit a home run yesterday. I never fully understood why Mike Tauchman was released. We talked about that way back at before the
Sean,
season even started.
you're gonna kill me for saying this, Sean. I'll take Miles Mascheroni all day over Bruhan. All day over Bruhan. Bruhan is absolutely useless, Sean. He's absolutely the most useless player in baseball. He's useless. And it'd be one thing if he just wasn't a good hitter, but he was a phenomenal defender. Sean, he had 2 errors yesterday. He's had like 7 errors on the season. The guy is absolutely useless.
Here, I don't understand. I didn't understand a lot of things that happened yesterday with this lineup. Number one, you're starting Bruhan, which I agree with you 100%. I don't know why this guy's still on the team.
Shouldn't be in baseball. He should not be in baseball, Sean.
You probably, I mean, I know the Cubs picked him up as a bench piece for late inning, pitch runners in tight ball games. But when you're starting him over Matt Shaw, who has been nothing but beyond excellent since the start of.
Yeah, and he's the future. That's the future of your third base. That's your team. The guy you've been talking. They've been telling us about Matt Shaw for 2 years now. Well, if you guys love him so much and he's so good, and so many experts were picking him to be rookie of the year for the NL, then let him play. Especially, why does Craig Counsell continue to do this thing, Sean? Tell me I'm wrong. Every single time the Cubs have a guy who's on fire, it seems like Craig Counsell wants to cool him down. Like, hey, you know what? I know you've hit 5 home runs in the last 3 days. Why don't you take a seat and we'll let Bruhan play today? Why would you do that? Play them until they're cold, until they cool themselves off.
Well,
Sean, what did Matt Shaw do when he came in the game yesterday?
He hit a double.
He hit a double. He would have been doing that all game. He's been absolutely on fire. And Craig Counsell decided he needs to take it upon himself to cool down his rookie third baseman, who's a future star for the Chicago Cubs. It just doesn't make any sense. There's no way to argue this anymore. Like some of the moves he's making, I'm like, what are you doing, Craig? What are you doing?
I think Craig. Look, I don't understand the Bruhan move. I'm not going to argue that for 1 second. The show to move, I understand to a point. You're trying to make sure he pitches in that Brewers series next week, and you give the best opportunity for your team to take advantage of him. Especially the Brewers are a little bit worse against left-handed pitching than they are against right-handed pitching. We'll get into those numbers in just a little bit. But on top of that, you have to go inside the analytics. And me, just being a Cub fan who's a podcaster, can go inside and say in his career since he's been a Chicago Cub, Shota Imanaga has, I think it was a 430 earned run average on 4 days rest, and you rushed him out there against a red hot White Sox team who's 6-1, 6-1 since the break. They've outscored their opponents now after yesterday, 61-28. The Cubs have now allowed 12 home runs since the All-Star break. I didn't understand that move, and this then goes back to me with the confusion around Jed Hoyer, because Jed, this guy right here, should be recognizing some things that are going on and been a little bit more active and be a little bit more aggressive, especially if you don't have the parts like some of these other teams, like pulling up Mizorowski out of the minor leagues. You don't have that. I understand. I had this guy on Twitter, I don't want to call him an idiot, try to explain to me, because I expressed my disappointment the other day that the Cubs weren't a little bit more active in the market. I had to say, hey, buddy, David Bednar and Mitch Keller are there. The Pirates aren't winning anything. You can be aggressive with certain teams. You could have been aggressive with the Miami Marlins. I understand Cabrera got hurt. There's a lot of questions around Sandy Alcantara, but you cannot sit here and tell me there are not teams that have pitchers available to you that you could have been more aggressive. We aren't saying Mitch Keller is going to be the guy who comes here and wins the Cy Young in the National League, but he's a guy who's a solid 3 with 2 upside, who's pitching in your division that you need right now on this club. Right now, I see a lot of lines in the water, but they're not reeling anything in. And it's time to start doing something. You're watching the Yankees make moves. You're watching the Mariners make moves. You're watching your competitors make moves. And I'm going to tell you, the thing that's going to kick you right in the balls is if Geno Suárez ends up on Milwaukee, or he ends up on another National League team that you have to face in the playoffs because you left your shit in your back pocket and didn't get off the pot. So these are a couple concerning things. More outside of Craig Counsell, I have some issues with Craig Counsell, but you have to look at the bigger picture. Jed Hoyer has to get busy. There's holes on this team. I'll give you a couple holes. They need an injection. They need something on this club, because when you look at things as a whole, here's your 2-3 in your lineup since the All-Star break. 166 and 125. Here's another one. Kyle Tucker, $600 million man. In July, when it counts the most, where are you, son? What are you doing? I'll tell you what you're doing. You're not hitting the baseball. You're not knocking in runs. You're not hitting it out of the park. There's no slug. There's strikeouts. Now he has 10 strikeouts and 13 walks in July. That is true. But when you look down here at Seiya Suzuki's struggling too. 239 batting average, 4 home runs, 20 strikeouts behind 8 walks. He's not recognizing pitches. There is a lot going on with this ball club. And Kyle, as you stated a minute ago, the frustration when you see these players, Craig Counsell, when you see these guys struggling, and then you take the hottest hitter out of your lineup for Vidal Brujan. I wanted to beat my head into a table yesterday.
Sean, and the holes are becoming more. Not only are there more holes popping up, but they're becoming more and more apparent. Like we've been talking about, and I agree with what Bruce says in the chat here. He says Turner, Birdie, and Bruhan have been useless. Yeah, I mean, this is a team that knew what its holes was week 3 of the MLB season, and they have done absolutely nothing to address these holes. Sean, you say they need to be more aggressive for the trade deadline. They knew they needed a starting pitcher the second Justin Steele got hurt. The second he got hurt, they were like, oh, man, if we're going to compete for a World Series, we need another starting pitcher. And here we are still talking about the Drew Pomerances, Chris Flexens, and Colin Rays of the world. If you want to be a championship caliber baseball team, you need to be a lot better than that. So 3 pitchers that have been used heavily for the Chicago Cubs, Flexen, Ray, and Pomerantz. 3 bench players that have been used heavily for the Cubs. Bruhan, Turner, and Birdie. None of these guys belong on a championship team in any way, shape, or form. Listen, I have nothing against Colin Ray. I think he's done a very good job for the Cubs, and he's held his own, and he's eaten up innings for us. But there's no way this guy could be on a playoff roster. Absolutely no way, shape, or form should Colin Ray be on your playoff roster. He's too inconsistent. You never know what you're going to get from him. On top of that, the Cubs have more holes popping up every single day. Every single day, there's more and more holes popping up. Sean, you want to show numbers for somebody? I know you have a graphic for him. Ian Happ is the most average to below average in all of player in all of baseball, and people love this guy. They think he's like a superstar in the outfield. He is the most average player in all of baseball. Most average player in all of baseball, Ian Happ. People say, oh, the Cubs have the best outfield of baseball because PCA, Kyle Tucker, and Ian Happ. No, because of PCA and Kyle Tucker, not because of Ian Happ. This is who Ian Happ has been since he's been on the Chicago Cubs. He has these massive stretches where he's absolutely just disappears, man. Just disappears. He's done this since the day the Cubs drafted him. Man. This has been Ian Happ since the day of the draft. Sean, I just believe personally that this team just this year, and I'm not saying you guys, I think the Cubs have set themselves up to have sustained success into the future, but this year, I think they're just too far away from a World Series. I think it's too far. I think it's out of reach. And I'm not even saying that there's another team in baseball that I would pick over them, another team that I'm like, oh, that's the obvious favorite to win the World Series. The Cubs just have too many holes for this late in the season. They have too many holes. And finally, it looks to me like one of the holes just finally corrected itself, and Matt Shaw at third base, and they're not playing him. You're going through one of by far the worst stretch we've seen from the Cubs, right? They lost to the Royals and the White Sox, and you benched Matt Shaw, who I think since the All-Star break has been the best player on the Chicago Cubs. Yeah. And I'm not just talking about his offense, guys. Matt Shaw is their best third baseman in terms of defensive metrics as well. Go look at the numbers. He is their best third baseman. That he should be playing every single day. Every day. Even if he goes through a cold stretch with his bat, at least you have the best defensive third baseman on the field.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, when we talk about this rotation, I do want to say this because Ray was unexpectedly forced into the 4 role. He's moved around the rotation a little bit. And I got to say this, man. He has held his own. They are 13-5 in his starts. He's been solid. He's given the team innings. He's kept them in games, and he's done it without great elite velocity or great stuff. You know, it's been commendable, but relying on Ray to hold down the mid-rotation role hasn't been sustainable, and we've talked about this for a while. It's a strategy for a playoff push failure, excuse me. The fact that they haven't made a move yet has really bothered me to no end, because I'm starting to watch these pieces get plugged. And I know starting pitching isn't hard. It's hard to come by. But Kyle, we went over a trade last week that could really help this organization. If the Indians are really sellers, there's a lot of hot wire stuff going on right now with Emmanuel Claus and the Chicago Cubs. It's jumping all over. Francis Romero works for MLB Network. He's an outsourcer for MLB Network. He is all over this. He is saying that the Cubs have been actively monitoring this, according to industry sources. Let's make the call. Pick up the bat phone. Let's see what the Indians want, because if Cade Smith is available and Emmanuel Claus is available, you've plugged two holes. It's not going to be cheap to get these guys. Emmanuel Claus is one of the best. Clase is one of the best closers in all of baseball. But you have to start making some moves. You should have made moves ahead of the series against Milwaukee. They still have 2 days, because I'm going to tell you right now, you got Ben Brown going up against the White Sox on Sunday. You almost want to chalk that up as a loss, unless the Cubs bats can get hot and they can score 10 runs, because Ben Brown is going to give you 6 to 8 runs, especially off this red hot White Sox team. This is becoming a failure. It's becoming a disappointment, and the division's starting to slip away. You're going into Milwaukee. Now you're going to have Shota in the last game. You have your best pitcher, Boyd, going up against Mizorowski, which, if the Cubs can't hit Adrian Hauser, I don't know that they're going to be hitting Jacob Mizorowski either. So now you're going to possibly lose that game with Boyd. If you don't, which you have Milwaukee playing the red hot Marlins, and let me get to this, because the Marlins are red hot. So you can't discount the Marlins. The Marlins are 24-12 in their last 36. They won 7 of their last 9 series. They're 7-3 in their last 10, and they've won 14 of 17 of their last road games. Thanks to Otto Lopez for doubling 3 times, and Cal Quantrill having a solid outing yesterday. Stowers homered again last night. Their pen has been tremendous. So Milwaukee, as all of a sudden we have our hands full with the Southsiders, seem to have their hands full with a surging, young, hungry Miami Marlins baseball team. Hopefully that can continue. But it's so frustrating, because I talked about this with you, Kyle, probably 2 or 3 weeks ago on the show, and I showed extreme confidence that Jed Hoyer would be on this phone. He would be making a phone call, and we would be shoring up this roster so we could take this division and make a statement when we go into Milwaukee. And unfortunately, looks like we're going into Milwaukee with a struggling roster, question marks in our rotation, a bullpen that struggled. And this could turn into what was, before the All-Star break, a 1-game lead into a 3 or 4 game deficit. This is very disturbing. Very disturbing.
Yeah, real quick, Sean, I'll say what's up to Kyle Harris, breaking news, Bruce, Elizabeth Chomer, John S. Anybody, we have 50 people watching the show today. It's a huge number for us on Saturday morning. If you guys are watching on Twitter, please go over to our YouTube page and hit that like and subscribe button. I mean, Sean, we're at the Milwaukee Brewers are legit. All right. Well, the people like to believe it or not. Every time I talk about the Cubs or any of their deficiencies, people are always like, look at the record. Okay, guys, look at the Milwaukee Brewers record. If you're going to use that logic, if you're going to say the Cubs are a World Series team, they're one of the best teams in baseball. They have the 4th best record in baseball. The Brewers have the best record in baseball. They're legit. They're a legit baseball team, and they have the best pitching staff in all of the major league. Their starting pitching is absolutely phenomenal. I just think, you correct me if I'm wrong, Sean. First of all, the Cubs have run out of arms. They're running out of arms. That's why you're seeing the Chris Flexens and the Drew Pomerantz. They know these guys aren't phenomenal pitchers, but they're running out of arms. They got nothing else to put in. So if you're that far off from putting a complete pitching staff rotation in the playoffs at this point in the season, I think going and trading away your entire farm system and add a couple pitchers here and there is just pulling at straws. I think that the Cubs probably at this point should know that they've just sustained too many injuries and too many guys haven't worked out, the guys that they had in the offseason, like Ryan Presley, to the point where this team is probably too far away from a World Series to trade away their entire farm system. You've built your farm system up to have sustained success for the next 5, 6, 7 years. And all of a sudden you're talking about trading all the guys you've been telling us were going to be the future of the Cubs to chase World Series this year. And I think the only reason they're doing it, Sean, is because they want to win a World Series so they don't have to pay Kyle Tucker, and they can tell the fan base, well, hey, look, We did it. We won a World Series. You guys got nothing to complain about. We're not going to give Kyle Tucker $600 million. We won a World Series. When if you keep your farm system intact and you pay Kyle Tucker $600 million, you could win 3 of the next 7 World Series. Like, why? It just doesn't make sense to me. If you're a true Cubs fan, you should think about the future of the franchise, not right now, not in the moment we live in. You have to think about the future. You have to think about the future. If they have Kyle Tucker right field and their starting rotation next year is Justin Steele, Cade Horton with a year of experience under his belt, Shota Imanaga, Matthew Boyd, and Jamison Tyon, you're talking about a realistic chance of winning World Series. Oh, yeah, by the way, you could bring up the pick one, Sean. Owen Casey's of the world, the Ballesteroses of the world.
We'll see who's left.
Jefferson Rojas's of the world. You could bring those guys up. Sean, think about your bench next year. Instead of Brujan, it's Owen Casey. Instead of Birdie, it's Kevin Alcantara. Instead of any of this garbage that they have on their bench, you're talking about legit major league hitters. I mean, Moises Ballesteros didn't look that bad when he was up here. I think that's a guy who could make an impact on this roster next year. Instead, we're going to have okay pitchers, the pitchers that are available in 2025 at the trade deadline, which is one of the worst pitching classes I've ever seen in a trade deadline. And you're going to all the guys we're talking about, Ballesteros, Jefferson Rojas, are going to be playing elsewhere. It's just that to me, that is a far cry. They're desperate. It reeks of desperation to me. To me, guys, this reeks of desperation.
Well, I do see a couple of good things ahead here, and I'm going to put this up on the board because there's one trade I want to discuss with you that I think would be worth it for the Chicago Cubs to give up some of these pieces. But we do have some reinforcements on the way because Javier Assad is joining the Cubs in Chicago before pitching for Iowa on Wednesday. He did join the Cubs, and then he went out and threw to Miguel Amaya, who spent the week with Assad. They pitched 3 innings, 1 hit, no earned runs, no walks, and 6 strikeouts on 47 pitches, and that was on 7/24. Jamison Tyon got into will throw a live BP in Milwaukee before joining Iowa for a rehab assignment. And I did this yesterday, so this is actually today. Porter Hodge will pitch in Iowa today. So there are some reinforcements. We don't know what we have in Porter Hodge. I love the fact that we can get Tyon back. I love the fact that Javier Assad can join this rotation. Now, Kyle, as we just talked about, there is one big trade that could really help the Cubs, and it's going to cost the Cubs a good chunk of the farm system, but you're getting these players with control. You go to the Twin Cities and talk to the Minnesota Twins. Joe Ryan, as our boy Jacob Zanola a couple of weeks ago stated, is a bona fide elite headline.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
Pitcher.
I just don't think he's available.
Hold on, we're not done. You can either go after Johan Duran or you can go after Griffin Jacks, and then you solve a huge problem if you throw Willie Castro into that trade. Willie Castro's hitting at about 270. He plays 8 positions on the diamond. He can fill in at first, second, short. He played all outfield positions. This guy's a utility guy. He's a leadoff guy, and he's been leading off for the Twins all season and doing a hell of a job. You get into those 3 players. How much better are the Chicago Cubs with Matthew Boyd, Joe Ryan, and Shota Imanaga, 1, 2, 3 in the playoffs? Tyon coming out of your pen, 4th, 5th, 6th inning if there's any trouble, and now you have Duran, or Jax, or you have Palencia, and you still have Caleb Thielbar, who's having a great season. You have Brad Keller, who was in a little funk, but his last couple starts, he seemed to be back to normal. Looks like the back half of your bullpen is better. You're solid 1, 2, 3. You got your leadoff man, your utility guy. You fixed a lot of problems, one-stop shopping in the Twin Cities. Your thoughts?
No, I mean, Sean, first of all, to me personally, and I really do like the scenario, but that pipe dreams, delusions of grandeur. I don't think they're going to trade Joe Ryan. I don't think there's a chance in hell the Minnesota Twins are trading Joe Ryan. If they do, Sean, you are talking about your entire farm system. Yep. Your entire farm system is going to the Minnesota Twins. And John S. says down here, that's what I was saying last week. Be careful mortgaging your future. I agree 100%. Sean, if you trade your entire farm system for the 3 players you just mentioned, and you don't win the World Series this year, and you don't pay Kyle Tucker, and now your entire farm system is gone, there's a chance the Minnesota Twins with the Jefferson Rojas's of the world, the Owen Cases of the world, win a World Series before the Chicago Cubs do.
Well, you got to remember too, when you get a Joe Ryan, you have a frontline starter under contract control. So now you have your ace. You're also Jackson Duran are also under contract control. The only one's contract I don't know is I didn't look up Willie Castro. I don't know what his deal is with Minnesota. I'll check that out really quick right now. But you're fixing a big problem, and he's Puerto Rican, so definitely get Willie Castro here.
I mean,
Willie Castro's contract is, he's an unrestricted free agent, so he would be the rental of the deal. He would be the rental of the deal, and a piece that Minnesota would probably, if they're not planning on re-signing him, would throw into a deal, would be my guess.
I mean, what are you giving up for that?
If I'm getting Joe Ryan, shoot me in the face for saying this, but I would be throwing in Jackson Wiggins. You're getting a front-end starter for a front-end starter. You know what Joe Ryan is. We're not sure what Jackson Wiggins would be. I would throw in a Christian Hernandez, maybe a Jonathan Long, and maybe an Owen Casey. And I think those four guys would be more than enough to get that deal done.
For Joe Ryan, I don't think so.
You're talking about 4 top 100 prospects, dude. 4.
You're talking about 4 major league proven players. I mean, basically what you're saying is we want 4 players who we know for a fact are good in the major leagues, and we're going to give you 4 question marks. There's no way they would do that. Not a chance in hell, especially Joe Ryan. He's one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. On top of that, Sean, I mean, it doesn't make – I think what the Cubs are doing is exactly what I just said, Sean. I think they're going to chase a World Series this year, which – people can be, you could say whatever you want about it. You could, people in the chat, you could be like, Chase, they're pretty close. They're closer than you think. Go ahead. That's fine. I think the reason they're doing this is because they know they stand no chance in hell of extending Kyle Tucker. 0. None. And if they get into a bidding war with the team like the Boston Red Sox, they're going to lose that war. They already tried this with Alex Bregman, and the Boston Red Sox basically came out and were like, hey, we're going to just give you whatever you want, Bregman. How much do you want? And the Cubs lost that bidding war. And the Boston Red Sox have already come out and said part of the reason they were willing to part ways with Rafael Devers is because they're going to be involved in the Kyle Tucker sweepstakes. We already know that, right? The organization has come out and said that. So if you trade away your entire farm system and you say Joe Ryan comes here and the next day Shota Imanaga gets hurt, then you're down a pitcher again. And people can say, well, you can't plan for injuries. Well, you can, because the Cubs have had a ton of them. So they need to start planning for them, because they've had more of them than any team in baseball. So this is something that should be on the back of their mind constantly, 24/7, all the time, because they've lost Justin Steele. They've lost Javier Assad. They've lost Eli Morgan. They've lost Porter Hodge. They've lost half their team to injury.
Well, you can also rebuild some of these pieces in the offseason by signing. I mean, if you're looking here, if the Cubs, for me personally, Kyle, I think you may say the same. You may say the same and ask, and I'm just going to ask you, say the Cubs pull off that trade. The trade I just said, either Jackson or Duran, you're not going to get both. You're going to get one or the other. I think the Dodger or the Twins are a little attached to Duran, so I don't know that he's going to necessarily go anywhere. But if you get those 3 players, 3 of those 4 players from the Twins, would you turn around then and say, I think the Cubs are back as a NLCS contender in the National League?
Did they get better? Sure. If you ask me if they had Joe Ryan, which am I taking, the Brewers starting rotation or the Cubs? I'm still taking the Brewers.
You're still taking
the Brewers. Freddie Peralta, Brendan Woodruff, and Jacob Mizrowski. I'm still taking those 3. If you're talking about a playoff series, I'm taking those 3 all day. Listen, you guys, I like Shota Imanaga. I've said since day one, Sean, you know this. This is not me saying this because of the bad game yesterday. I still like Shota Imanaga, even with the bad game. It does that. It's one game, but he's a number 2. Have I not said that since day one? He's not a number 1. And
I don't disagree with that.
He's not.
I don't disagree with that.
You go into the playoffs and you're putting out Shota Imanaga, a fly ball pitcher, against, say, Mizrowski, who's a flame-throwing strikeout pitcher who doesn't allow contact, and the entire Cubs pitching staff outside of Joe Ryan is one of the leading staffs in baseball when it comes to pitching to contact. They're one of the highest teams in baseball pitching to contact. I just don't think this is the year. I think for the Cubs to chase World Series this year would be stupid. And I know Cubs fans don't want to hear that, because all Cubs fans want to win a championship every year. But if you really want a realistic chance of winning a championship, keep your farm system intact. Pay Kyle Tucker this offseason and give yourself a chance to win a World Series for the next 7 years. Be the Dodgers, be the Yankees, be the Phillies, be the Mets. Pay people money and give yourself a chance to have sustained success. Be the Cubs. Be the fourth most valuable team in all of Major League Baseball. Act like it. Act like you're the Chicago Cubs and stop being this team that reeks of desperation. Is like, well, if we can't get these three pitchers this year, we can't win a World Series. Our run is over. No, you're the Chicago Cubs. You're the Chicago Cubs. Act like the Chicago Cubs. Give yourself a chance to win the World Series for the next 5 years, not in 2025.
And Kyle,
it's desperate, Sean. You cannot. You're telling me you don't smell some desperation here? Come on.
I mean, it's desperate times. It's desperate times because the Cubs are reeling and they're getting tattooed by teams that should be beating.
And you've sustained too many injuries. It's not the Cubs' fault. It's not the Cubs' fault.
Listen, reinforcements are a must, and we knew regression was going to be coming, and it's starting to show right now.
Yeah, Sean, we talked on this podcast. Drew Pomerantz was going to be Drew Pomerantz. Chris Flexen's going to be Chris Flexen. Colin Ray's going to be Colin Ray. You guys, here's the problem with baseball fans, especially the average baseball fan. They look at like a 4.5 ERA for Colin Ray's career, right? And what they think in the back of their minds is, oh, this guy just pitches to a 4.5 every day. That's not how baseball works. The reason he has a 4.5 ERA lifetime is because some days he pitches to a 2 ERA and some days he pitches to an 8 ERA. That's what gives him the 4.5 average. And if you get that guy in the playoffs, that 8 ERA guy in the playoffs, you're going to get destroyed. If Chris Flexen looks like Chris Flexen for the last few weeks and like he did in the White Sox the years prior, he's going to get destroyed. If Drew Pomerantz looks like a 40-year-old man pitching in major leagues like he has for the last month and a half, he's going to get destroyed in the playoffs. This is just not this year. I think there's just too many strikes against them already, Sean. They have a terrible bench. Their bullpen is questionable. Their starting rotation has been decimated. There's just too many things to fix. Even if they made the trade that you're talking about, I'd still have them ranked as the third or fourth best team in baseball, even with the trade that you're talking about. And I love Joe Ryan. You know that, Sean. He's one of my favorite pitchers in all of baseball. I'd love for him to be in the Cubs for a long time. But even if they make the trade you're talking about, they are not the best team in baseball. So why would you mortgage your entire future to be the third, fourth best team in baseball? Why would you do that when you know that if you
that's what teams do, and people better get used to it because it's about to happen.
Oh, I still believe. I know.
And I still do believe by the 31st, this is going to happen.
Sean, if it does happen, let me ask you a question. You're a Cubs fan. You've been a Cubs fan for life. So have I. We've stuck in there through some thick and thin, right? Thick and thin. The Cubs won the World Series in 2016. Then they dumped the team, which I have no problem with in any way, shape, or form. It was time for Bryant to go. It was time for Rizzo to go.
Except for one player.
Yeah, it was time for Baez to go. It was time for those guys to go. I liked the moves they made. I liked the pieces they added to their farm system. I liked the trades they made. I love PCA. I like Match. I like everything they've done to this point. If you go and trade all the guys you've been telling us for the last, hey, you guys know the reason we've been not competitive for the last 6 years is because we had to develop this farm system. That's why you guys have been watching shit baseball since 2016. This is the reason why, because this farm system right here, we were building.
And before that.
Yeah, we were building this team to have sustained success in the future. Jed Hoyer came out and said, I want to be the Dodgers. I want to be the Yankees. I want to be a team that's competitive year in and year out. If you make this trade and you don't win the World Series and you don't pay Kyle Tucker, you are talking about 2017. You're talking about restarting from scratch again.
I said this, and I'll say it again. If Owen Casey goes, Kyle Tucker stays. You can't give up Cam Smith. You can't give up Owen Casey and let Kyle Tucker walk, because if you do, you're excuse my language, a fucking joke.
Yeah, but you're the Cubs.
One of those three has to be here. And if Casey gets traded now, I like I've said for months, I still believe Kyle Tucker is going to be here. If Casey goes, we'll only reinforce that for myself. Period. Point blank. You cannot handicap your team.
I would like to think that. I'm also curious as to why the Cubs, who are here, we talking again, Sean, for the 5th year in a row about the lack of pitching. Once again, they went into the MLB draft and spent their first round pick on another right fielder. I mean,
we did get a lot of pitchers out of this draft, though, and for all intents and purposes, the Chicago Cubs get a very high grade for their draft this year.
I like the draft.
Their 10 picks have already signed. Too,
I like the draft, but watch you look at all the good teams of baseball. Most of them draft pitchers in the first round. and they even if the best 4 guys have already been drafted, and that they're like, say the Dodgers fall at 25 in the draft, they still take chances on guys who have they're like kind of a 50-50 shot, a question mark, right? This guy could be really good or he could fail.
Sure.
Because they know how important pitching is. Pitching wins championships, guys. It's just like defense in the NFL. Pitching in baseball wins championships. If you go look at the last 5 and 6 World Series teams, they have all of them had one of the best pitching rotations in all of baseball. The Cubs aren't even close to it. They're not even close to it. They're not even close.
This is where I disagree. And I'll say this, and you can go back as early as last year, and we talked about this before when you talk about bullpen games in the playoffs, because the Dodgers did it en route to a world championship last year. And yes, they had a good bullpen. And I hate to say this, I know the Cubs bullpen has struggled in July. Go look at the stats. They're still a top 10 bullpen in all of baseball. When you're talking about one-on-one matchups,
but it is dwindling.
It's been a struggle. It's been a struggle. I'm not going to deny that. But when you talk about a 3-game series and you add a Joe Ryan or a front-end starter who can get you into 5 and 6, and if you were to, what MLB sources, not me, industry sources are saying, I'll put it back up, that the Cubs are all over Emmanuel Clase. If this is the truth and you start adding these pieces to the back end of that bullpen, the blueprint has been throughout the annals of history of baseball. You can Google and look it up. Bullpen games are not uncommon in the playoffs. They're not uncommon in the World Series. We watched one last year, and the Dodgers won that game. The Cubs back into their bullpen, if you add a couple pieces with Palencia and Clase, guess what? The last 6 outs, good luck. Good luck, because there's your swing and hit. There's your swing and miss stuff. And then you got Caleb. You're going from Caleb Thielbar, or you're going Clase, Thielbar, or one of these guys who doesn't have the velocity back to Palencia. This is throwing hitters off. There's a lot of mixing and matching you can do. And when you talk about how great Matthew Boyd has been, and we all know this guy has been one of the top pitchers in baseball this season, I don't expect Shota Imanaga's struggles to continue. And we're going to get into his velo in just a minute here. But I don't expect his struggles to continue. And you add that front-end starter, all of a sudden, first off, in a 5-game series, the Cubs are looking really good, because I understand the offense is struggling. I still expect the offense to turn it around, especially a guy like Kyle Tucker. And we also saw what happened with Seiya Suzuki last year. His August and September were electric and amazing. Slumps happen in baseball, and it's a really good thing they're all going through it at one time. You bounce out of it and you go on a 10-game win streak against some of these shit teams that'll be coming up on the Cubs schedule. All of a sudden, things look a little better. You're talking about a 5-game series. You're talking about matchups versus matchups. That's all you need in a playoff series. And you go into a 7-game series. We're not saying the Cubs are going to win 4 games and none, but you're going to be able to set up your rotation to have your best versus their best. And the Cubs will have to manufacture runs. That's probably one thing that scares me the most.
Yeah, I mean, you're painting best case scenario. There's probably going to be some wrenches thrown in the gears. They're probably going to deal with more injuries. Real quick, Sean, I want to say what's up to Gaming with Jason. Appreciate you joining the show, man. He says, I would call Casey up now and give him 3 at-bats before putting in Hap. Tucker is struggling too, and it's not justifying getting $500 million. No, I agree with you 100%, Jason. Right now, the way Kyle Tucker's been playing, even all season, guys. I mean, I know Kyle Tucker's had a good season, but this is not a $500 million player. The guy that the Cubs have gotten since trading for him in the offseason so far to this point in the season is not a $500 million player.
Not since April.
Any chance in hell is that guy?
Not since April.
And if the Cubs were to pay this guy $500-600 million, that reeks of more desperation to me, because he's not a $500 million player. He is not. He is not.
But unfortunately, that's what the market's going
to the going rate. Yeah, and once again,
that's what he's going to.
Don't trap yourself because you're trying to keep up with the rest of baseball. Like Sean, I like what he says. Let's bring up Casey. You're talking about adding a guy at third base. You're talking about adding Class A. What if Luke Little and Owen Casey are the guys they need? What if those guys are sitting in the farm system right now, and those are the guys they need to be more competitive, or be competitive enough to be in the World Series conversation? You're going to trade away your entire farm system for guys that are already in your farm system.
To Don's point here, it's not only losing games to the White Sox and Royals. 4 of their last 5
ass whooping,
uncompetitive baseball games. It's almost look, and I'll tell you this: in the 6th inning, they're starting to be uncompetitive at bats. I know they scored some runs late, but if you look at Kyle Tucker's at bats, and I don't want to pile on the guy, but if you look at Kyle Tucker's at bats, and I know he got a late hit, but I believe it was the 6th inning, he did not look engaged at all. I actually was like, wow, they don't look like they're even competing at the plate. This is what I'm saying. Going out and adding that spark plug, that Geno Suárez, and we're going to get into that Geno Suárez thing because there's a lot of smoke around the Diamondbacks, according to John Heyman, and I clipped his article that he wrote about the Diamondbacks are bullshitting people and they're on the fence and they're not sure if they're trading Suarez, Kelly, or Gallen, or any of these guys. But we'll get into that in a second, too. There's just so much to cover today. It's been a crazy week in baseball. Watching the Cubs give up 12 home runs this week has been something I didn't expect to see either.
I'll tell you this, Sean, before we move on to these individual players, just the general conversation about the Cubs in this World Series run. As a true Cubs fan, and I love the Cubs as much as anybody else in the world, if I'm the Cubs at this point, with all the injuries they've sustained, with how the team's been playing lately, I understand it's a very small sample size, guys, but like if Kyle Tucker can't be that spark plug, this guy wants $500 million and he can't be the spark plug. If I'm the Cubs, I'm more concerned about the future, and I'm not doing much of the trade deadline. Maybe add another pitcher so you can have that guy in your rotation next year. But I would do that in terms of focusing on the future, 2026, 2027, 2028. But I would certainly not unload my entire farm system to chase World Series this year. That's just where I stand. I've been saying that for about a month, 2 months now, Sean. You know that. I've been saying this is not a World Series team since day one. Basically, to me, Sean, when we were going into the season with Justin Steele healthy, did you think this is a World Series team? With Justin Steele healthy?
Well, you already know that I bet the Cubs to win 94 games this year.
Yeah.
So if they weren't the World Series, 94 is a really good benchmark. And
but when
I expected them to win this division at least. And
but when you looked at them in the beginning of the season, when you stacked, all you could do is look at the rosters on paper before the season started, right? When you stacked them against the Phillies and the Dodgers, did you think the Cubs would win the World Series?
Not over the Dodgers. I didn't know the Phillies were going to be. I thought the Phillies would be good. I think the Phillies are a little bit better than I thought. Christopher Sanchez and Zach Wheeler at the top of that rotation are just unbelievable.
I mean, so you're replacing Justin Steele with Joe Ryan. So you're basically in the same exact spot you were going into the season, and we didn't think they were going to win a World Series going into the season. It's the same team.
Well, Kyle, to be fair, because I did this. I bet them to win 94 games. And I thought a team that would have Justin Steele and Shota and Matthew Boyd, not knowing Matthew Boyd would be this good, I thought they would be in a position as a 94-win team or on that pace come the trade deadline to be able to get a couple of pieces and make themselves into a World Series contender.
See,
I think for me right now, though, the injuries are mounting so much. I mean, you look at the rotation. The only pitcher they haven't lost in the rotation has been Matthew Boyd. Everybody else has been on the DL.
Sean, for me personally, I think a lot of Cubs fans and Jed Hoyer himself and Tom Ricketts, probably due to the fact that they don't want to pay Kyle Tucker. They'd rather just win a World Series this year and get that whole conversation out of the way. But if I'm the Chicago Cubs, I would be looking at 2025 as 2015. That's what I would be doing. I would be looking at this year as a stepping stone to the future and knowing that you can build this. You could look at your holes in the offseason and go, we can build this team, even especially with what we have in the farm system. We can plug these holes, address these issues, and build this team to win a Super World Series in the next few years, just like they did in 2015. In 2015, Sean, they were a good team, but they didn't go add a bunch of guys at the trade deadline and trade away their entire farm system. They were like, hey, 2016, 2017, this is a year in which we can realistically win a World Series. That should be the same mentality they have in 2025 going into 2026 and 2027. That's where I stand. I think this team should be like, hey, great season. It was a lot of fun. Probably not good enough to win the World Series, especially due in fact to the part that we lost our entire pitching staff at one point this season. We're not going to go chase a World Series and trade away our entire future, mortgage our entire future of the organization to maybe win a World Series this year. We'll go into next season, address these holes, and we will be head and shoulders the best team in baseball, better than everybody else. We keep Kyle Tucker here. We can beat the Dodgers. We can beat the Phillies. We can beat the Mets. Sean, if they go in this offseason and they add a guy like Joe Ryan, just in the offseason, I'm not talking about trading. You go in the offseason, you sign a Joe Ryan type guy. I understand it's not going to be Joe Ryan, but say you just sign a guy like that, like the opportunity they had to sign Max Fried last year. If they do that this offseason and they pay Kyle Tucker and they have the guy that we're talking about, Justin Steele, Cade Horton, and with a year of experience under his belt, he should be much better next year. Jamison Tyon, Matthew Boyd, and they're bringing up the own Casey's the world to replace Ian Happ. They're bringing up all their bench players are Kevin Alcantara, are all the guys, Jefferson Rojas, Moises Ballesteros instead of John Birdie, Brujan. When you look at that roster next year, Sean, going into the season, I would ask you the same question as I did before the season started this year. Sean, is this team capable of winning World Series? You know what you're going to say? Yes, they are. So why lobby your entire future for 2 months worth of players to see if you can get this thing fixed up? That's another thing, Sean. How many times have we seen players in sports be traded and they have a very slow start with their new team? We saw it last year with Isaac Paredes. This is a guy.
Sometimes that works both ways.
But you don't know which way you're going to get. You're lobbying your entire future for a question mark. Like, what if you bring Willie Castro here and he has the same struggles that Isaac Paredes had when he came in there last year? Isaac Paredes, by all accounts, is one of the best power hitters in baseball when he came to the Cubs last year. He was awful on the Cubs. Awful. Terrible.
If you do
you're talking, these guys are not just changing teams, guys. They're moving to a different city, leaving their family behind. These are human beings. These aren't like pawns in a game. These are human beings. This guy has to change. He's in the middle of the season. He's playing for a team. All of a sudden he gets traded to another team. He has to move his entire life. He has to go live in a hotel. He's not going to be with his kids and his family. Sometimes these guys struggle. It's a personal struggle. They're not seeing their family anymore. This is real life. This stuff happens. People can't act like it doesn't happen because it does. If you go trade for these guys and say, Sean, Joe Ryan comes here and he's just going through it because he just hasn't adjusted to the move to Chicago, and all of a sudden he ends up sucking. He ends up having the worst stretch of his career because he's traded in the middle of the season. You just traded your entire farm system for nothing. Nothing.
Yeah,
And not to mention, Sean, do you think there's a chance we trade for Joe Ryan and then say Matthew Boyd or Shota Imanaga get hurt? And you can't say, you can't predict injury. You can't say you can't predict injuries, Sean, because Matthew Boyd is something that should be in the back of the Cubs' head. Sean, this is going to be the most innings he's ever pitched in his career.
Possibly. Ever. He's been up to 180. He's going to be approaching it. And you got to remember, he did go 3 years in a row where he was over 150.
Yeah, after those seasons is when he really started to deal with injuries. So maybe he's just not a 180 inning pitch kind of guy.
He went 135, 170, 185, and then he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 year stretch. He's at $118, so he is capable of doing it. I do like the fact that the Cubs are stretching him out. They're stretching him out and they're giving him long days in between his starts. I think that is going to be beneficial to him. He's still going to pitch these innings, but hopefully he's okay. Hopefully he's okay.
Sean, do you see?
Look down the injury. I don't want to look down the injury line.
Oh, okay, that's fine. But Sean, do you see a scenario in which the Cubs trade away a ton of their farm system to go get the 3 guys? Let's say the 3 guys you like, the 3 guys. So best case scenario, right? Joe Ryan, this is the trade that you probably looked at and were like, this is the best case scenario for the Cubs that's traded.
It is the best case scenario.
Okay, so even if
they want to win a World Series,
even if they make that trade, instead of like standing on a sturdy bridge or walking across a sturdy bridge on their way to the World Series, don't you think they're still walking across a twig and it could snap at any given moment? They're still not a deep enough team. There's still too many question marks. And if anything goes wrong at all, if Joe Ryan is like, oh, I need Tommy John surgery after they make this trade, anything goes wrong at all, there are teams who could sustain injuries like that and still win a World Series. I think even if they make this trade, if the Cubs are still a flick away from being in the same spot they're in right now, where there's just too many question marks, too many holes, and not enough time or space to fill. I think they are still that team. Like the Dodgers could go to the playoffs without Blake Snell, guys, and they can still win a World Series. The Cubs cannot go into the playoffs without Matthew Boyd and win a World Series. They can't do that. They don't have the depth.
No, they don't. And I think you're only talking about a few teams, maybe the Dodgers And I don't even think the Yankees. I think.
Yeah, I'd say maybe
I
the
think
the
any. I
Mets the
think.
Mets pitching staff could certainly sustain an injury because they have 50, but
Yeah, I don't know. The Mets. I don't even know if the Phillies can sustain it. If you lose one of your big guys, you're screwed.
we already did.
And the Cubs have
We lost
sustained.
our best pitcher.
And the Cubs
If
have
I
sustained.
know,
That's
but
why I'm
Sean, if they
saying
lose
this isn't
one
doom and
more,
gloom.
if
This
they
isn't
lose,
doom and gloom
if
for the
anything
Cubs.
else goes wrong, they're in big trouble. Big trouble. Anything. If anything else goes wrong with the Cubs, and Sean, Shota Imanaga's already been hurt this year. It's not out of the realm of possibility. He already missed a huge chunk of the season due to injury. Matthew Boyd's approaching what's going to be his third most innings pitch he's ever pitched. I just throw the scenario in which if they trade for a major league pitcher, an ace, and he comes here and he's not adjusting well and he starts to pitch poorly. I mean, if any of this stuff happens, any of the scenarios in which I just gave you, the Cubs are done. They're done. So why would you lobby your entire future for such a small percentage chance to win a World Series? I just don't think it's a big enough
I'll
percent.
just say
You have to
this.
play the odds. You have to play the odds. I don't think the odds are good enough to win a World Series if they make that trade. I don't. So why would you lobby your entire farm system for that?
So when you look at it between the Mets, the Phillies, the Cubs, and the Dodgers, I mean, even with all the problems the Cubs have had and everything that we're
I
going
know
through,
the record.
no, not the record. I'm not even looking at the record. I'm looking at overall stats. The Cubs are right there with these top teams, and this is kind of what I'm saying. You know, if you're able to get into a place where the Chicago Cubs can add a couple of players, I'm not going to worry. I'm personally not going to go in doom and gloom and saying all these guys can get hurt, because if they stay healthy or if they get hurt, injuries happen. It would be devastating. Yes. But through everything the Chicago Cubs have done this year, the Dodgers 462 team earned run average, the Cubs 392, the Phillies 372, the Mets 355. The Cubs are right there within a half of run of all the top teams in the league. And this is why I'm saying add a couple of pieces, you are still there. And when you have a chance to win a championship, which you don't believe the Cubs do, when you have a chance to win a championship, you make the moves to try and win a championship.
You guys, the Cubs are not
all in on that.
The Cubs are not an Aroldis Chapman away from winning a World Series. They're not. It's that simple.
But
they
then
are
there was
not.
2016. You know the Cubs traded for 3 pitchers in 2016.
Yeah, Sean, in 2016, the Cubs were clearly the best team in baseball. Clearly.
They were really good.
Clearly. It was not
they
even
were
a
really
question.
good with
there
a
wasn't
questionable
a question.
They had a questionable bullpen.
They were the best team. They were beating the shit out of everybody. They weren't just winning.
Yeah, they were beating the shit out of people, but their bullpen sucked. And what did they do at the trade deadline?
They wouldn't have got Aroldis Chapman.
And who else?
But Sean, it doesn't even matter.
Who else?
You're talking
Michael
about
Montgomery.
Yeah, I know Mike Montgomery. And they brought Carl Edwards up. I understand
they brought Adam. That's what I'm saying.
But Sean,
they added these pieces and they were able to win.
2016, they didn't need 2 starting pitcher, 3 bullpen pieces, and 3 bench players.
They needed bullpen.
So who's your bench? So you're bringing Willie Castro, so now you have 1 bench player to get you through the World Series, 5 playoff series.
I actually disagree about John Birdie. I don't think John Birdie's been a complete waste of space for the Chicago Cubs this year.
They won't even play him.
Oh, dude, the other day he got a start. He went 2 for 3. They don't play him.
I mean, they pitch him. He's a pitcher. He's pitched more in the last 2 months than he has played on the field.
Let's see, against the Yankees, 1 for 3 with a walk. Against the Yankees the day before, 1 for 3 with a stolen base. He got a start against the Twins. He was 2 for 1. He got a start against the Astros. He was 1 for 2. All I'm saying is I don't think John Birdie is a complete waste of space. Vidal Brujan, complete waste of space. I don't feel the same about John Birdie.
If they go into if they make the playoffs, which they're going to, whether it be wild card or they win the division, they are not going into the playoffs as John Birdie is their.
Here, you want me to be a pessimist for a second? I'll tell you this. They own a 6-game lead in the wild card right now. I don't know that a 6-game lead is secure in the wild card if they don't address things that are weaknesses on this club right now. If they don't get a starter and they don't get a couple pieces in the pen, that 6-game wild card lead could
And-
evaporate.
And a bench player.
Because when you're getting your teeth kicked in by the White Sox and the Royals who have one of the worst offenses in baseball, that's telling you all you need to know. And that's why I thought that Hoyer would have been making those calls already. And I hear, we all hear, if you go up and down the baseball wire like I do every day, the Cubs are involved with this team. They're involved with this team.
They've been
They're
involved with
fishing
these
with
teams
10
for
poles,
2 months.
but they're not reeling anything in. They have to start reeling this in if the Cubs are going to stay in contention. I still believe this is a very good team who is hitting a regression spot, and they need to make moves to revitalize what they had at the beginning of the season. We're talking about a team going who currently in July is 3 games over 500 in games played in July. They're 11-8 after yesterday. They have not been under 500 in a month this year. They have competed with teams. They've lost to good teams. They've beaten good teams. They've lost to bad teams. They've beaten bad teams. Hate to say it, guys. That's baseball. I have to say it again. Last week, the Pirates, one of the worst teams in baseball, beat the living shit out of the Detroit Tigers. Go look at those scores.
Well, first of all, the Tigers are reeling. First of all, second of all, Sean, I don't think it's doom and gloom or pessimistic if you're a true Cubs fan, like you cut me, I bleed red and blue, to say I am more concerned about the future than I am the here and now. I don't think they're close enough to a World Series to trade away the entire farm system. If I thought they were, if they needed one pitcher or one third baseman or one bench player or one bullpen piece or 2 bullpen pieces, Mike Montgomery and Aroldis Chapman, I'd say, hell yeah, pull the trigger, go win a World Series. I don't think they are 3 players away from a World Series. I think they're 6 players away from a World Series. I think they could use 2 bench players, 2 bullpen pieces, and 2 front end starters.
Sure.
So why would I trade so you spent the last 6 years developing these guys, putting all your time, money, and effort into making these guys major league players, and now you're just going to give them somebody else so they can go win a championship in 2 years, and you lose because you don't have you sustain another injury or because just something goes wrong, which had been happening all season. It's not all around. People are like, well, you can't plan the future. Yeah, you can. Yes, you can. You can plan for injuries. You can plan for guys having slumps. You can plan for all of it. If you're a good, well-run organization, you can plan for everything and anything that could possibly happen in the sport. 100% you can.
I'll say this. If you go back to 2019, and I'm just going to use this team as a reference, and they did have Steven Strasburg at the head of their rotation. He was the MVP.
The best pitcher in the world.
He was in that year. But when you go look at what happened that year to the Washington Nationals, they were, I think, six games out of the wild card at the All-Star break. They're 5 games over 500. They were a reeling baseball team. What did they do?
But you'd have to look at what the other teams of baseball looked like that year. Like maybe the competition wasn't that great that year.
You have to worry about what you do. All you can handle is
Sean,
what
I'm
you
talking.
do.
I'm not talking about. I'm talking about.
Listen, this is what's pissed me off about Cub fans. Everyone's worried about what the fucking Brewers are doing.
No, that's
I
not
don't
what
give
I'm saying.
a fuck what the Brewers are doing.
Go
win your baseball games.
Sean, I'm talking about if you reference
shit what the Brewers do.
I'm talking about in terms of comparison. If you're referencing the conversation, I'm not saying you need to worry. I'm saying if you're talking about how the Nationals won a championship that year, you also need to look at what the competition looked like that year. Did the Dodgers have Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman the year that the Nationals won a World Series? Did the Phillies have Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, and Trey Turner the year that the Nationals won a World Series? Probably not, right? So the competition has gotten better. It's gotten a lot better. The Dodgers, if you look at them on paper and they get healthy, the Dodgers do get healthy. They have one of the best teams I've ever seen in my life.
They did wind up beating the Dodgers to put themselves in
with no Ohtani.
And one of my favorite, they are one of my favorite World Series teams because they sent the St. Louis Cardinals home.
Listen, Sean, that Washington Nationals run is the exception to the rule. That's why we're still talking about it today, because it's very rare that a team has that many injuries and has such a bad start to the season and still end up winning the World Series. It happens once every 20 years. You guys, the Cubs are a good baseball team. They're a really good baseball team.
They are.
Look at the record. They're a really good baseball team. I just don't. If you're talking, and if it costs them nothing to add pieces and go chase World Series, yeah, 100%. But if you have to get rid of Jefferson Rojas, Jackson Wiggins, Owen Casey to try to win a World Series, and you don't,
See,
Cubs fans,
and
remember,
Kyle, this is where we
now.
are.
You're going to be heartbroken. You're going to be
This is where we
absolutely
are, though.
devastated.
This is where we are, though. Proven prospects. We talked about this with Jacob 2 weeks ago. Proven
I understand.
prospects.
I get it.
If you're exchanging Jackson Wiggins for Joe Ryan, I'm on board.
It's going to be a lot more than that.
Here, there's a lot for me that you have to give up on Jefferson Rojas. I don't know that I would include Jefferson Rojas in any trades. That's just me.
Well,
Jacob disagreed a couple of weeks ago, and there's other Cub fans that have disagreed with me on X when I said he, for me, is one of the lone untouchables in the Cubs organization. I don't want to see Jefferson Rojas go anywhere. He's 20 years old. This kid, by the time he's 22, is probably going to be coming up and having kind of a season. We're going to talk about a certain rookie in the American League here.
So 2022. So you're talking about the future?
2 years. 2 years.
The future of the Cubs. Exactly.
I just said in all these trades, I would give up many pieces in this organization. Jefferson Rojas would be the one that for me
sure.
is
And Sean, I'm not
but
saying
not Jackson Wiggins. Not if you're talking about Jackson Wiggins for Joe Ryan.
No, I'm not. I don't think anybody's untouchable. My problem is trading away Sean. They literally a tweet I read the other day from Baseball Insider said the Cubs are willing to part ways with these guys. It was every prospect we've talked about for the last 2 years. It was every single prospect they have.
I saw that.
So if you're talking about trading,
that's just a number. That's just, hey, we're going to throw these players out there. That's Jed throwing bait out there to get people. Hey, now we're in the conversation. They're willing to go up these. He could scribble these names off the board. I mean, we don't know what's going on. Like I said, he's got 10 lines in the water, but he isn't reeling in any fish just yet.
Just remember, I said this on this podcast. Mark my words. If the Cubs do what everybody's talking about, trading away half the farm system, basically their top 10 prospects to go get a bunch of players to help this team win a World Series, and they don't win a World Series, Cubs fans are going to be heartbroken for the next 5 years. The next 5 years, guys. The next 5 years are going to be like, God, we are right back to where we were in 2017-18. We're going a wild card knockout, or we're missing the playoffs by one game. That's going to be the Cubs for the next 5 years. For the next 5 years, it's going to be the Cubs. Unless they pay Kyle Tucker. They're not going to pay Kyle Tucker if they make all these trades and make a run of the World Series. I don't think they're going to pay Kyle Tucker. Sean, what is Joe Ryan making? How much money is he making? What's Joe Ryan's contract?
Let's take a look. I don't think it's that expensive. None of the contracts are expensive. That's the thing. He's got oh shit. Yeah, he is getting paid a lot. Never mind.
Yeah.
No, he's not. He's getting paid $3 million.
Yeah, but he's going to get he's
arbitration eligible.
Yeah, he's going to get $25 million a year.
But he's under team control regardless until 2028.
Yeah, but if he's arbitration eligible, they're going to have to pay him what he's owed. The baseball is going to
possible. You can avoid arbitration by striking a deal. And the Cubs have avoided arbitration with a lot of their players.
So you're gonna sign Joe Ryan and Kyle Tucker in the same offseason? What Cubs is this? I've never heard of these Cubs.
Well, you're going to probably let him sign it at his. You're probably going to look and see how you can avoid arbitration and go to arbitration, and if you can't come to a deal and lose. But yeah, if you want to be competitive, you have to spend money.
I agree, but they don't do that. I agree with you, Sean. I've been saying that for 25 years, but they don't do that. And for 25 years, I've been saying, Sean, this team needs to spend money if they want to be competitive. They have not spent money. And the 25 years I've been saying that, they have never, ever spent money ever.
Yeah, but you know what? Their
highest paid player ever is
what else we said?
Jason Hayward.
You know what else we said? The Bears would never fire a coach midseason. This would never happen.
Yeah,
Things always happen in sports that we don't expect.
Sure, but that's a culture change. As a matter of fact, Sean, since they won the World Series, I could make a point that the Cubs have gotten back to their old ways when they were owned by the Tribune. Since they won that World Series, they've become more and more like the Chicago Tribune Cubs than they ever have been before. They don't want to pay anybody.
I think that they were trying to do what Cub fans weren't happy about this. This is what another thing that upsets me sometimes about this fan base is for years growing up through the 80s, all I heard in early 90s was, we got to build a farm system. We got to build a farm system, but we want to win championships, but we got to build a farm system, but we got to win championships, but we got to build a farm system. Well, guess what? They've built the farm system, and what have Cub fans done since 2016? bitch like little babies that we're not a
No.
competitive baseball team.
I think Cubs fans who are real Cubs fans and have been hearing about this farm system for 5 years, they want to see the farm system. They want to
Look,
see
I
more
want to see the
PCAs.
farm
They want to
system
see Matt
too.
Shaws. They want to
I
see
want to
more
see
of
the
them.
farm system too, but you know what I see? I see a very vulnerable Dodgers team that we've already beat this season handily, won the season series against. The team that scares me the most lies in Philadelphia.
It relies Milwaukee. And
Milwaukee doesn't. I'm sorry, Milwaukee. I know what they're doing. They still don't scare me. I understand they got the big three. I get it. They don't scare me.
Sean, they got more than three. We talked about.
They are a statistical freaking anomaly. Their offense is fucking
They always
terrible.
have been.
It's
always
terrible.
have been.
It
They
doesn't lead to
always have been.
sustained success. They've gotten hot. They played their hottest baseball. And what has their hottest baseball done for them? 1 game lead in the division while the Cubs have struggled. Guess what? The Cubs are about to start playing a bunch of bottom feeders. Well, they're
playing,
about to play
they're
the
playing
Padres,
bottom feeders right
the
now.
Phillies, the Mets. The thing, lights didn't start coming at the Brewers fast, guys. I'm telling you, they're on this pace to win 100.
But Sean, we said
I'm not scared. I sit here right now. I'm not scared of the Brewers.
Sean,
I'm not scared of the Brewers. I don't give a shit.
We can have this conversation all day. I mean, we first of all, we said we were about to play the bottom feeders before we played the Royals. We said that. We said we're about to play some bottom feeders. We all picked the Cubs to sweep them, I think, or go 2-1, right? I think, and then we picked the Cubs to go 2-1 against the White Sox. On top of that, if the Cubs fans are going to use the logic of, well, Kyle, you can't say that they're far from a World Series. They have one of the best records in baseball. You have to use the same logic for the Brewers. Like, guys, if they have one of the best records in baseball, they have one of the best records in baseball. You can't change it. Whether you like them or not, it doesn't matter. They still have one of the best records in baseball.
They do, but they're a statistical anomaly. And the numbers that they have offensively don't last in baseball.
Yes.
They've gotten luck.
But
there is a metric
that
when you go inside their numbers shows you the luck that they've had. And I wish I would have brought that for today's show, because this is one of the reasons why I'm sitting here looking at it and saying this success is not sustainable. When you're in the bottom 5 of every offensive statistical category you can fucking have, you cannot sustain the success they've had offensively. It's impossible. They don't have one person in their lineup with an 800 OPS. That is a statistical anomaly that they are this good. Here, hold on, correction. The only guy that is Andrew Vaughn, because he's been on the team for 2 weeks, and he's got an 1,000 OPS because this guy found the devil magic that the Brewers sprinkle on you when you walk through their doors.
Well, they still got it. And you know what? There's a Brewers fan sitting in his house somewhere looking at the metrics of how much contact the Cubs pitching staff gives up and going, there's no way this team could end up being the best team in baseball. It's not possible. Look how much contact the Cubs pitching staff gives up. They pitch to contact more than any other team in baseball. There's no way this team could possibly in a million years win a World Series. There's a Brewers fan doing the same thing that you're doing with the Brewers right now as a Cubs fan. Here's the bottom.
But you want to know what the difference is? I'll give you the big difference. Cubs bullpen, top 10. Brewers bullpen, not. Cubs rotation, top 10. Brewers, I think they're borderline. They're getting there.
We also brought Mizrowski up for the season. So
let's see if Mizrowski let's see if he can sustain the success.
What's up, Neil?
Here we got Genie in a bottle. He's had 5 good starts. Good for him. He's also going 4 or 5 innings. So guess what? After those 5 innings, if that bullpen comes in and gives it up, guess what happens? His start don't mean shit. And that's all I'm saying.
Well, let me ask you a question, Sean. If the Cubs,
I'm just over this Brewers devil magic. And guess what?
If the Cubs, it annoys nobody more than
Cubs can get their head out of their ass starting today with this god awful Aaron Savale on the mound. Here, I'll tell you this. I'll retract everything I said. If Aaron Savale comes out and pitches 8 shutout innings against the Cubs today, because you might not hear from me, I might be hanging in a closet somewhere. It will just absolutely die if the Cubs cannot beat the shit out of Savali today. I don't know what's happened to the offense. I understand baseball has its ebb and flows. It has its ups and downs. This offense has showed me one thing. It's a good offense. They're struggling right now. They have to figure it out. Craig Counsell needs to put Matt Shaw in this offense, in this lineup. Stop taking him out. Get the Brujans out of here. Kyle Tucker has to get his head out of his ass. Seiya Suzuki needs to turn it around. Ian Happ needs a phantom DL stint. I don't know who goes in left. Maybe you put Seiya in left, and then you make Carson Kelly the DH and put Reese McGuire behind the plate. I don't know, but you cannot continue to run these guys out here while they're slumping. Ian Happ is being run out here when he sucks. If you wanted to give someone a day off yesterday, Matt Shaw should have been in the lineup and Ian Happ should have been out of it. I don't give a shit about what Adrian Hauser pitches well against. They said they sat Matt Shaw because of his numbers against righties. I don't care. That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard when you have Ian Happ that can't hit a lefty or a righty right now, for the love of Christ.
Yeah, I mean, and Sean, at some
the management
point,
has to be better. The management on the field has to be better.
And the Cubs GMs Cubs managers need to stop cooling off their own players. Like if Matthew Shaw is sitting 400, then he's obviously just on fire. He's on a hot streak. So you play him until he cools himself off. You don't bench him and cool him off for it. Like you said, Sean, right-hander, left-hander, I don't give a shit. If a guy's on fire, a guy's on fire. If he's seeing the ball well, he's seeing the ball well. He needs to play every single day until he's not seeing the ball well. That's just baseball. That's the way the game is played. We've seen the struggles with Michael Busch against left-handers, but every once in a while he just catches fire and destroys everybody. It doesn't matter. But to end this conversation, because we can sit here and talk about whether the Cubs should trade away the farm system or not all day. To end this conversation, guys, the New York Mets 4 years ago, traded a guy named Pete Crow Armstrong for Javier Baez because they were chasing a World Series. Okay. They traded a guy named PCA for Javier Baez. Mm-hmm. They didn't win the World Series. And now Pete Crow Armstrong is one of the best players in the entire world. And he's sitting in Wrigley Field at center field. There's not a Mets fan in the world that's not beating the shit out of themselves every single day for watching Pete Crow Armstrong play for the Chicago Cubs in center field. Not one. It doesn't exist. They do not exist. If you asked any Mets fan in the world, if you could go back in time and reverse that trade, you guys keep PCA, you put him next to Juan Soto, and we keep Javier Baez. Every single Mets fan in the world is going, yes, I'm keeping Pete Crow Armstrong, putting him next to Juan Soto. We're winning World Series in 2025. If the Cubs are having those same conversations in 3 years, 4 years about Jefferson Rojas or Owen Casey or any of these other names we're talking about, we are going to be heartbroken, absolutely heartbroken. And it's going to be another 4 or 5 years of watching the Cubs be abysmal and knowing that they're not going to win a World Series, but they're playing meaningful baseball in August. The same conversation we've been having for the last 20 years. Oh, well, at least we're playing meaningful baseball. I don't want meaningful baseball in August. I'm 37 years old. I've watched the Cubs since I was a kid. I want world championships. And if you have to be patient in order to get them, to give yourself a broader window, a bigger window to win championships, just to be patient, that's all you got to do, and not trade away all the talent you have in your farm system, the talent that you've been grooming for the last 10 years, then be patient. For once in my life as a Cubs fan, I'm preaching patience. I would rather have sustained success and be a championship caliber team for the next 5, 6, 7 years than chase a World Series in 2025. I know some Cubs fans are like, Kyle, you're an idiot. If you have a chance at World Series, you go for it. I think this team has a chance at a World Series for the next 5 years. It's the same thing as the Bears, guys. Like, I don't need the Bears to win a championship in 2025. I'm not impatient. I can wait. As long as Caleb Williams looks like a franchise quarterback, we're going to be all right for the next 10 years. We'll be all right. We'll be in good shape. It's the same thing for the Cubs. Maybe you don't win a championship in 2025, but when the Rojas's start coming up and the Caseys start coming up and the Wigginses start coming up, you're going to be a very good baseball team, a very good baseball team. You know, I just preach patience, man. If the Cubs, you guys put all this time and effort and all this money into grooming these players in your farm system, then let's see them on the Cubs.
No, I look, you know, I've always wanted this and I've always said this. I also like championships, and
so do I.
I think you can achieve. I think both can still be true without decimating, because the minor league system, because there are so many pieces, you know, and struggles are going to happen. They're going through it right now. We'll wrap this up. I'll wrap this up by saying that the pitching staff, you know, they overachieved, but they kept the Cubs afloat. The offense has sputtered a bit. You know, Shota was electric since coming off his IL stint, which, you know, we knew regression would be coming for the entire staff, from the bullpen to Colin Ray.
Yeah, we said it on this podcast. We knew it was coming. We all knew it was coming.
Everybody. You know, for me, though, you know, the signs are starting to show, but for me, it's not panic worthy yet. if Jed gets out there
I'm
and he
not
makes
panicked.
moves.
I'm not panicked by any means necessary.
There's
First of all,
a lot of people.
I want to say what's up to Neil Patel. Thanks for joining the show, man. He says this is awesome. Neil, you're awesome, man. We appreciate you joining the show. Thank you so much, man. But yeah, Sean,
No,
listen.
I just want to say if this isn't about one guy, it's about the depth that the Cubs have on this team. They need to improve it right now without gutting the system so they can have some sustainability and gear up for the stretch run.
Yeah, because I think that depth is in the farm system. I think that depth you're talking about is in the farm system right now. I think Owen Casey could come up right now. I think he could make a major league impact right now as we speak. I think he could be in the lineup in left field to replace Ian Happ today and go 1 for 4 with a home run. I think that the Cubs have those guys. I think Luke Little could come up here tomorrow and strike out the side. I think he's capable of doing.
About Luke Little.
I know the injury, I know, but
I'll break your heart in a little bit.
But Sean, it's just. I want a World Series just as much as the next guy, just as much as every other Cubs fan in the world. I'm just saying, guys, if you really care about this team, think about the future as well. You got to think about
this. Let's strap it in. Let's everyone take a step back. Let's see what happens over the next 2 on the south side as we gear up for our trip to Wrigley North. And let's calm down till we see what happens come next Wednesday. Because I just don't like the fact, and I don't know what I'm going to do when we look ahead as far as picking the Cubs to beat Mizorowski, but I'm not also going to sit here and say it's impossible for that guy to lose. He is sporting a 250 earned run average. He's not been perfect. He's not God's gift to pitching. He overthrows. He does still have command issues. Don't swing at his bullshit, and you're going to have a lot more success at the plate. He reminds me of a certain guy, Josh Hader, that they used to have. If you look at Josh Hader has a lot of movement. He doesn't throw a lot of strikes. He just doesn't. He overwhelms you, but he doesn't throw a lot of strikes. And Mizorowski, he's the same. Good hitters are going to figure this out.
Yeah, but they're both very good pitchers. I mean, and Sean, real quick, I want to say what's up to Dean Kurth. Appreciate the comment there, man. And Sean, let's give some of these new listeners here a round of applause. We appreciate you guys joining the show, man. If you're watching on Twitter, we have 100 people watching live right now. Please go over to our YouTube page, hit that like and subscribe button. We're here every Saturday talking about the Cubs, breaking this down, guys. We're about to get in the nitty gritty here. It's going to be August here soon. It's going to come down to it. The Cubs are going to be in the conversation for a World Series, but it's just the show. This is the show today is how much of their future are they willing to mortgage to chase this World Series. I'd love to hear your guys' comments as well. What you think? If you guys want to see him trade away the entire farm system and add 5 players, you want to see him kind of take a half swing at it. It's maybe trade away a couple guys, add a couple guys here and there, see if they can maybe catch lightning in a bottle and win a World Series out of luck. But I certainly am not willing to part ways with the entire.
Hey, don't you think that the 05 White Sox caught lightning in a bottle?
It happens. It's the exception of the rule. Once again, it doesn't happen often, but it happens.
Yeah, because that team was struggling. They almost missed the playoffs. The Indians were out on their heels.
I mean, Sean
chased them down in the division, and then all of a sudden they went in the playoffs. And nobody could hit anybody on that pitching staff.
The problem I have right now is if I had to pick one team right now that I think is catching lightning in a bottle, it could be that World Series team that came on strong in the second half of the season. It's the Milwaukee Brewers. I hate to say it because I absolutely despise them, but they look like the team to beat right now. They have the best record in baseball. So as of right now, they are the team to beat.
All I'm going to say, they have a 1-game better record than the Chicago Cubs.
Sure.
And as I stated a few minutes ago, it took everything they had to chase the Cubs down to have a 1-game lead ahead of us playing them for 8 games coming up. The Cubs control their own destiny.
It's good.
Jed Hoyer controls the destiny of the Chicago Cubs. You can win this division. You get into the playoffs. And what's the old saying? Anything could happen. This is a good team hitting a rough patch. Jed Hoyer's job right now is to inject some life by making some trades quickly.
Let me make it clear that I am not saying the things I'm saying based off of what the Cubs have done over the last 2 weeks. It has nothing to do with what the Cubs have done over the last 2 weeks. This is Sean. You know me. You and I have these conversations every day. I've been saying that the Cubs are not good enough to win a World Series since day one. You know
you have.
You know that.
You have
This is not about
look,
their struggles against the White Sox and the Royals. This is about losing Justin Steele, Javier Assad having numerous setbacks, Porter Hodge having numerous setbacks, Eli Morgan being out for the season, Shota Imanaga missing 2 months of the season. The Cubs have just been decimated, and it just seems to me like it's not their year.
And through all that, you're one game behind the best record in baseball.
Yes, but you're not getting
so
those.
You make a couple of moves
you're not
as
getting,
you get your reinforcements back. Javier
Sure.
Assad, Jameson Taillon, Porter Hodge. You added Duran, Jackson, Joe Ryan.
Everything
all
has
of a sudden,
to go
you
perfect.
got depth.
And everything has to go perfect because then you're not playing the Royals and the White Sox. You're playing the Brewers, followed by the Phillies, followed by the Dodgers, followed by the Yankees.
Sure.
That's tough.
And Kyle, let's not pretend like I haven't said on the show and said, I don't think the Cubs have to build themselves to beat the Brewers. I think the Cubs are better than the Brewers. I'm sorry, you guys may not right now. I'll stick to my guns. This is my opinion, and this is how I
just think the Brewers have the best pitching staff in baseball.
No, listen. Actually, I disagree with that as well. I think the Philadelphia Phillies have the best pitching staff in baseball.
Yeah,
period. And I think the Mets have a better pitching staff than the Brewers as well. Go inside the stats. It's not just me.
But you also can't be. I mean, you have to. If you were a Brewers fan, you love Peralta, Woodruff, and Mizrahi.
I'm not saying they don't have a good staff. I would rank them. I would listen. I would rank them behind the Phillies and behind the Mets. I've said this for weeks. I'm not. Listen, I understand what they've done. They've been the hottest team in baseball. They've done this. They're done
just
that.
A good team.
They're sweetheart. I don't live in the moment. You know, I'm an analytics guy. I go inside the analytics and I say what they're doing is not sustainable. Going into the break, you had people saying this team's going to win 116 games. They're not winning 116 games.
All right, what I'm saying is
anybody.
You can say for this team's overperforming, they're playing better than their roster. But
absolutely,
if they do it for 5 years in a row, then that's just who they are, man. That's who they are. If they do it for 5 years, where every year people look at the Brewers roster and they're like, this team's not that good. If they do it for 5 years in a row, you guys, this is just who they are. They're just a really well-run organization with very good coaching management. And when players go to Milwaukee, they just play better. That's Sean. You call it your devil magic, whatever you want to call it. That's just who the Brewers are now, guys. People said that Craig Counsell was the best manager in the world because he got the most out of an average baseball team when he was in Milwaukee. Well, guess what, guys? Craig Counsell came to Chicago. He had the same exact record as David Ross did the year prior, and all the Brewers have done is gotten better.
Pat Murphy's getting the best out of what he's got so far.
The Brewers have gotten better.
But let me ask you this, Kyle. Kyle. What's the Brewers' result that every year they get better? They win the NL Central. Their fans dance around naked in the streets. They think they're going to win a World Series. And what happens? They get their brains kicked in the first round of the playoffs, and they go home and say, oh, well, we'll win next year. So guess what? Their success may be sustainable, but it's not successful.
Okay.
What they do is not successful.
Okay. But
the Cubs can do
as a Cubs fan, I can't just look at the Brewers and be like, hey, I'm a Cubs fan, so they're going to lose.
Because everyone's singing the praises and putting the Brewers on this pedestal. We got 8 games left of them. Say the Cubs go, let's say 5-3, and wind up winning the series against the Brewers. That would be 8-5. How much better are the Brewers? Because they can kick everybody else's ass this year, but then lose the division to the Cubs. That's all I'm saying is sit back and relax. Because right now on Wednesday, Cortez, they're throwing a bullpen game against the Cubs. Shota Imanaga in game 3 gets, what's his name? I can't think of Cortez's first name.
Well, we're going to do, Sean, we'll do the look ahead. We'll pick our Brewers record, Cubs record. In these next
all I'm saying is the Cubs have had their way with the Brewers this year. I understand no Woodruff and no Mizrahi. Okay? We're going to get Mizrahi Monday, 6:40 from Wrigley North. I cannot wait.
We all know Peralta has the Cubs number. He's always beating the shit out of the Cubs.
Guess who's not in that series?
Yeah, but he's going to be. He's going to be the 4-game series when they play in Chicago later.
When they play the 5-game series, the whole rotation is going to be playing.
We
got 5 games.
And you're going to see whose
rotation
is better.
The Cubs only have to win 3 of those, especially when they take 2 out of 3 in Milwaukee this week. Right? Because if they take 2 out of 3 in Milwaukee, now they have a 2-game lead over the Brewers for the season.
Well, Sean, and the Brewers are also probably going to add to the bullpen at the deadline.
I'm
sure they will. So if you go in a playoff series, you got Joe Ryan, Shota Imanaga, and Matthew Boyd against Freddie Peralta, Mizorowski, and Woodruff, that's a tough series.
Sure.
That is a tough series. Like, people are like, oh, it's
Sure.
the Brewers. They'll screw up. They always do. They'll become
They
the
always
Brewers.
do.
That is a tough series, guys. That's a very, very tough series. That's a damn good pitching
Listen,
staff.
I'm not saying the Brewers are not a good team, but if you're doing checks and balances, yes, they have 3 top starters. The Cubs have 2. You go in a 3-game series like we're going to do next week. The 2 Cubs starters are better than the 2 Brewers starters. And then the bullpen game, guess what? Guess who's winning the series?
If you had
saying, guys, it's so black and white. The Brewers are so much better. Analytics don't say that.
But Sean, if you had to pick 3 pitchers out of the 4 names I'm about to give you, you can only pick 3 to put on your team next year. I'm going to give you 4 names, pick 3. Leave one guy out. Shota Imanaga, Mizorowski, Woodruff, Peralta.
Well, probably.
I'm Shota Imanaga is not going to be on my team. He's not. He's a fly ball pitcher that pitches contact. Those 3 guys are flamethrowers that strike people out.
I'd have to check. I'm not going to sell Shota short, dude.
I love Shota.
His career in baseball has been amazing.
I love Shota.
Nothing short of outstanding. Yes, and I'm not just going to sell him short.
So is Mizorowski. So is Peralta.
A bad start against the White Sox.
All 4 of those guys' careers have been amazing. All 4. I mean, obviously, Mizorowski's a small sample size.
He's had 5 good games in Major League Baseball. And everyone's like, "Oh, this is Steven Strasburg."
But all we can do is Kyle Harris. All we can do, Sean, is judge him based off of what we've seen. I can't do it. I can't predict the future for Mizorowski. All I can do is judge him based off of what I've seen. I've been Sean. You know for a fact, Sean.
So if you judge Shota and Mizorowski off of what you've seen, you're taking Shota, who has 30 wins behind 6 losses in the major league with a 265 earned run average, sustained success, a proven prospect over a guy with 5 starts. Are you insane, Kyle?
Sean, I want flamethrowers. How long have I been saying this? How long have I been saying I want flamethrowers on this team? How long have I been saying that? How long have I been saying that to you? 5 years now? 5 years I've been saying that?
I hate to tell you, Justin Steele isn't a flamethrower either.
I didn't say Justin Steele was a
very successful pitcher.
I didn't say Justin Steele was a flamethrower. I want flamethrowers. You know what, Sean? You know what the rest of baseball is doing? Adding flamethrowers. They're all doing it. Everybody in baseball is doing it. Go look at every team in baseball has a guy who throws 100 miles an hour.
What?
Every single team in baseball has one.
And guess what? The Cubs are 1 game behind with no flamethrowers.
Sure, but
best record in baseball.
Sean, when
there's more ways to win than just throw people up there that throw 100 miles per hour.
When the world changes, change with it.
I'm just saying.
The Bears have been running an organization like it's 1985 for 25 years now. How's that working out for them? Not very good.
I just want to get this out there. As we talk about Shota Imanaga, and we have to keep an eye on him, and this could be a problem with Shota. You know, Shota's velocity's been down a little bit. Those home runs, that Chase Meredith leadoff home run yesterday was hit off a 4-seamer that only hit 89. Colson Montgomery's was a fastball that hit 90. And Slater's was a 4-seamer upper part of the zone that hit 88.9. You know, since he's returned, his 4-seam fastballs average, since he's returned from the DL, it's only averaged 89 miles per hour, which is a few ticks below where he's been at around 92. That kind of plays his splitter set at 81, almost a full mile per hour slower than the average of 82.7. So Shota's always relied on being a pitcher. But when the velocity is down, you start to worry about fatigue a little bit. And that was one of the things during the baseball game. And I know, Kyle, you were working, so you didn't get to hear it. When I was listening to Boogs and, oh my God, Jim Deshaies yesterday. And Jim Deshaies is so good at breaking down baseball. I was a little aggravated that he said, you know, everyone, and it started breaking on Twitter, on my phone after Jim Deshaies said it. Maybe Shota was tipping his pitches yesterday, and then there was people showing close-ups of his glove of him tipping his pitches, and they were like, hey, there's no signs of his velocity. Then you would be a little bit more concerned. Well, I hate to tell the Cubs broadcast team they were wrong, because if you look at his average velocity since he's come off of the IL, it has dropped a bit. He did hit 92 in his last start. He did. And this could be a cause and effect of Shota Imanaga in his career. And Kyle, you know that we noticed this last year because we talked about it. And 4 days rest, he's rocking, I think it was a 430 earned run average off of 4 days rest. The guy has a 265 earned run average career as a pitcher. Might have went up a tick after
which is
yesterday.
important for the playoffs. It's important to know for the play. If you're the Cubs, you need to keep an eye on that because in the playoffs, you're going to have a shorter rotation.
Yes.
Sean, let me ask you a question. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole here. Just a yes or no answer, and we'll move on.
Yeah.
Don't lie to me.
Uh-huh.
The Brewers call you today. The Brewers call up Jed Hoyer today.
Uh-huh.
They're like, hey, Jed, before we play each other this weekend, we want to give you Mizorowski for Shota Imanaga straight up. Don't lie.
I don't have enough information on Jacob Mizorowski to make that trade. I'm sorry. I know you want me to say I would do it. I know what Shota Imanaga's done as a professional pitcher and what the Cubs record is when he goes on the bump over his couple of years here with the Cubs. So until I see a bigger sample size of Mizorowski, has he been phenomenal? Absolutely. He's been lights out. He's been sensational. Obviously, he's the fastest guy to ever make it to an All-Star game. Still didn't agree with that. That should have went to Christopher Sanchez of the Philadelphia Phillies. But until I see a full season and this guy's arm doesn't fall off and he doesn't need Tommy John surgery, you don't know what's ahead of this kid's future. I know he's had some success in 5 starts. Go to his minor leagues. Control was an issue that could still reel its ugly head in the major leagues. I am not pulling the trigger on that deal. I like pitchers that know how to pitch. Shota knows how to pitch. Boyd knows how to pitch. And when you think about pitchers that know how to pitch, you know who else didn't use velocity? Greg Maddux. He was a pitcher who knew how to pitch. I like those guys as much as I like the Skeens of the world. And I'll tell you this, I would take Paul Skeens 7 days a week and twice on Sunday over Jacob Mizorowski because he knows how to pitch. He moves that ball. Everything Mizorowski does is fast, 95 to 100, his splitter, his change, his fastball. Everything is fast. Skeens takes it off, dude. He'll drop an 85-mile-per-hour fastball on you and come back the next pitch at 100. But he's moving the ball outside of the zone, inside the zone. I don't know enough about Mizorowski to make any kind of deal like that yet. I'm sorry.
Well,
if you were talking about a Freddie Peralta or a Brandon Woodruff, that would pique my interest just a little bit.
Yeah, and there's a good chance, and I know, Sean, we don't have a big enough sample size, and we can move on from the conversation, but there's a good chance that Mizorowski's better than Peralta, and if he continues to do what he's doing, if he could continue to do what he's doing, if he does, I know there's a big if, right? Because a lot of things can go wrong in baseball, but if he does, he's better than Peralta and Woodruff. He's the best pitcher on the Brewers, no doubt about it. He will be their ace for the next 5 years.
If he can without getting hurt, then yes. I mean, skiing's the same thing. You know, that's the problem with flamethrowers. And not that it avoids pitchers because Matthew Boyd doesn't throw with a ton of velocity, although I think he did get up to like 99 in his last start, which the announcer was like, Matthew Boyd just threw 99.
You don't got to sell me on Matthew Boyd. He is my right now outside of PCA. I said this last week. I think I said that a couple weeks ago too. Matthew Boyd's my favorite Cub right now. And John says, "What about Skeens or DeGrom?"
I would love for the Cubs. I said
DeGrom could be a realistic possibility. Skeens ain't going anywhere, guys.
I was going to say, Kyle, you were working on Tuesday, but I mentioned DeGrom on Tuesday. I said I would love for the Cubs to at least pick up the phone and kick the tires on Jacob DeGrom.
That is one. If you traded for Jacob DeGrom, that is one guy that you absolutely have to consider injury because he's been injured his entire career.
Here's the other problem. You know where the Rangers are right now? Half game out of the wild card.
Yeah. Sure. We've had this conversation on the podcast too. Ever since they put 50% of the league in the playoffs, the trade deadline is just not the thing it used to be. It's not because these teams have a realistic chance of playing baseball in October. All of them. There's like 3 teams right now that are basically eliminated.
Here, can I just shore this up, man? And I want to get on to next week and there's 4 things I still want to do before we get out of here. But for me, getting blown up by sub 500 teams, it's a really bad look, and it's a symptom. And the Cubs are leaking oil at the worst time of the season. And I'm going to say this, and I mean this as optimistic as I'm being. And Kyle, we touched on this a little bit earlier. Right now, we say there's no extra arms coming, but there are, and you still have trade. So far, it's been a very passive trade front. So
there's
there's
not that much out there.
Hold on. The morale of the team seems to be sagging a little bit. And when you look at some of these guys' faces in the batter's box when they're getting pop flies at the beginning of the year, and watch these guys in the batter's box, when they're making mistakes, they're turning around, they're pounding their bat into the ground. This team is frustrated. Morale is sagging big time on this team. And this is why I'm putting out the bat signal to Jed Hoyer and saying, man, you have to interject something into this ball club to turn this around before this thing completely spirals out of control.
You would hope
that's all I'm saying.
You would hope one of the most expensive managers in baseball could figure out a way to get this ship right, even without injecting anybody into this.
I mean, how can you when you don't have any arms?
Well, stop benching Matt Shaw. Stop benching Matt Shaw. Could be your spark.
We knew Flexen and Pomeranz had a glass slipper on, and sooner or later that glass slipper was going to fall off. You have to replace that now.
Yeah,
you have to make some moves.
I'm saying there are things you could do inside that. Good managers do this all the time. Good coaches do it all the time. Sean, you just said everybody yesterday in that White Sox game looked dejected, right? You said that. I didn't get a chance to watch the entire game.
Really
I only got pieces.
You
know who didn't look dejected? Matthew Shaw. He looked like he came in, hit a double, and was like, yep, I'm still here, boys. I'm still here. I'm still kicking ass. Should have played this entire game. He looked great. Matt Shaw looked great. You know why? Because he's looked great since the All-Star break. He's looked absolutely phenomenal.
Amazing.
So do yourself a favor, Craig Counsell, and stop sitting him on the bench.
He's been utterly phenomenal.
I think he is a spark plug. I think he is the spark plug you're talking about. Look at those numbers. That's a spark plug. That's the guy you need.
And stop taking him out of the lineup. If he's not in the lineup today, I'm gonna.
Here's what I don't understand about Matt Shaw.
Fall over.
I don't understand about Matt Shaw. This guy was being picked to be the rookie of the year, right? You heard it. We read the same articles, right? Mm-hmm. There was a lot of sports writers who were like that. In the NL, Matt Shaw is going to be the rookie of the year. This guy, Sean, you're the one who preaches patience with the farm system with these prospects, right? Guys like PCA, right?
Always.
Cade Horton, patience. And Matt Shaw has a bad half season to start the season, his first major league time ever. And all of a sudden it's like people have forgotten he exists. Like, let's go get a third baseman, bench Matt Shaw for Brujan. What is going on? This guy was supposed to be one of the best prospects in all of baseball. Then let him play. If that's who he is, then let him play. What if he's a star?
So let me ask you this. Are you against getting Geno Suárez here?
Not at all, because we need bench players as well. So you could interchange those guys, where you could use Suarez as your DH sometimes and give Suzuki a day off, or you can give Tucker a day off, put Suzuki in right field and put Suarez in it. There's a million different things you could do with Suarez. I'm not against adding talent in any way, shape, or form at any time, Sean. But if you're asking me, hey Kyle, Suarez is a rental, should we give away Jefferson Rojas for Suarez? Hell no.
That's the thing. That's the thing too. That for me, that is.
Yeah, Dean, I agree with you 100%. I agree with Dean as well, Sean. I mean, that's
I agree.
That's 100%. Yeah, I mean, and Sean, didn't I say to you once? Didn't I say to you at River Street once? I think I said to you, Mizrowski's going to deal with an elbow injury.
Oh yeah, that's why everybody here. That's why everybody here is all like, "Oh, this guy Mizrowski, Mizrowski might not be here in August."
Yeah, August. But Sean, even if you hate the Brewers, you gotta like what Mizrowski, for such a young kid to do. I mean, what he's doing is fun for baseball. It's good for baseball. It's good for baseball. You want as many Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens is in the Cubs division too. If the Pirates were good, you would hate Paul Skeens just as much as you hate Jacob Mizrowski. You just don't give a shit about Paul Skeens because the Pirates suck. He's good for baseball. He's very good for baseball.
I actually would never have a problem with Paul Skeens, because I watched Paul Skeens through college. I watched him in that College World Series. I fell in love with him during the College World Series. It sucked that he went to the Brewers, but I was very, very excited to see him play Major League Baseball
I
That
like them
sucks
both.
that he's here.
I like them both. I think Skeens and Mizrowski are going to be fun to watch for the next few years if they can stay healthy. I think they're both going to be very fun to watch, man. They're both really good pitchers.
Yeah.
I wish that neither of them were in our division or were on the Cubs. That would be much better scenario for me. But they're both very fun to watch. And Sean, watching guys throw 105 miles an hour, it's insane. It's insane. I mean,
Guys,
these guys are going to be throwing 110 in 5 years, bro.
I'm going to throw a curveball in here, and I know that Kyle, you probably, I didn't tell you I was going to do this, man, but it's something that I've been thinking about. I know there's mixed reactions about the loss of an icon, once in a generational, larger than life icon, I should say, in American entertainment history.
Well,
And
do you want to do the week ahead and then finish the
no,
show?
we're gonna just flip back. This is not gonna take that long. I just want to get this out. Well, we got a bunch of people in here really quick. Hulkamania will live forever. For the people that don't know, the people that are saying he was a racist, people make mistakes in life. People are forgiven for mistakes. This was a one-off thing. He wasn't a perfect person, but what he was a generational icon, a guy who changed pop culture, American culture through the years. Hulk Hogan was the man, the myth, the legend. It wasn't just wrestling. He was in mainstream media. He helped out so many people. You can talk to Ric Flair. You can talk to many other professional wrestlers and people that have come out with these stories over the past couple of days about how the Hulkster helped them when they were broke and picked them up and advocated that this guy was a true American hero. And to his family and friends, I do send condolences. I got the chills and I had a tear watching his remembrance yesterday because this is a childhood icon for me, for many through the years. Say your prayers, eat your vitamins, say your prayers was something that I grew up on. The taking the title from the American Sheik when we were at war with Iran, with the Iran-Contra affair, and how the WWE tied that in and the birth of Hulkamania. He transcended time from Saturday Night Live to the covers of Sports Illustrated internationally in Germany, in Russia. I mean, just everywhere Hulkamania lived. And as I said, when this started, he will be missed. I'm still shook a little bit, and it's still a little surreal to me that Hulkamania, the immortal Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea, has passed. But as the sign says, Hulkamania will live forever. I love you, Hulkster. I'm going to miss you. I really am. And, I won't forget what he did for Donald Trump at the Republican National Convention. That was awesome. And I'm a little teary right now just thinking about it again because I'm still thinking about the passing of the Hulkster. And I'm still a little shook by it. But I'll love Hulkamania forever. And Hulkamania will always live and be a piece of me and my childhood and something that I live for this day. And Kyle, you can ask Stephanie. She leaned over and she goes, Hulk Hogan just died. And I'm like, what? I'm like, is this one of these stupid people putting something out there? And as soon as I logged onto my phone and I looked, man, the hair stood up on my arms and a tear came out of my eye. I love Hollywood Hulk Hogan. I love Hulkamania, like I said, man. And I'm a little teary-eyed talking about it, man. Had to get it out. Somewhere here today. Hulkamania will live forever. I promise you that, in the hearts of many, and in my heart especially. So, love you, Hulkster. Peace, rest in peace, and my condolences to you and your family, brother. With that being said, let's take a trip to the farm really quick. I got to regain some composure. I probably should have done this in a second. But yeah, Kyle, not too much on the farm for me this week. I did look at a couple of things that came across the board just because I with the Bears starting training camp, I've been so involved in that. But Jordan Wicks had a tough outing. Four innings, just on 625, 3 runs, 2 earned on 4 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Ben Cowles continues to tear it up. He's collected 12 RBIs in his first 6 games after the All-Star break. He's also got built-in speed. This is another prospect that you might not see in the organization too much longer. And then the bad news of the week happened yesterday. Luke Little surrendered a game-time signal to Hector Rodriguez with 2 outs in the 7th inning. He departed with the athletic trainer Logan Serverson, he appeared to be grabbing his lower back. And there has been a history of back issues with Luke Little through his career. So hopefully this isn't serious and we can get Luke Little back on the bump pretty soon. That's all I got. Did you have anything from the farm?
Any news from Riley Martin?
I haven't heard anything on Riley Martin. I know he's been struggling a little bit in AAA.
What? So what? He's allowed 3 hits in the last month instead of 0. Guy's been amazing, dude.
Let's see what we got here on his stats. He actually went through a little bit of a bump in the road. It was about 2 weeks ago that I was looking at him, and his earned run average jumped a little bit. Right now he is sitting at a he's
a guy I thought could help the major league roster this season. So, obviously even in the minor leagues, everybody has bad days, but he's definitely somebody the Cubs fans should keep their eyes on because
he's at a 270 earned run average. He's had a couple blimps on the radar over the past couple of starts here. I just clicked on his game logs and they did not come up for some reason. I don't know why. That's really awesome. Thank you, Iowa Cubs. But yeah, he's a guy. I mean, he's still there. I mean, 53 strikeouts. His walk totals have went up a little bit. 26 walks. It's getting to that 2-to-1 ratio. Hitters are still only hitting 151 against him, and he's still got a sparkling 1.11 earned run average or whip. So not that bad. And as we take a look week ahead, we never got into the trades that happened. Naylor went over to Seattle. Ryan McMahon went over to the Yankees. McMahon went over for Griffin Herring and Josh Gorsh, number 8 and 21 in the Yankees organization. So they gave up a couple of good prospects to get a Ryan McMahon, who's never had over a 2 WAR playing in Colorado. The trade to me doesn't make a lot of sense. But Josh Naylor also, as I stated, went to the Mariners in exchange for right-hander Ashton Izzy and left-handed pitcher Braden Garcia. And the Diamondbacks, as we talk about all this trades before we get into the look ahead, this was from John Heyman. The Diamondbacks informed other teams in the past that they would probably be sellers, but even after trading Josh Naylor to Seattle, it's still unclear just how far Arizona will go. If the Diamondbacks decided to go all in on selling, they could reshape the organization significantly by moving free agents Merrill Kelly, Zach Gallen, and Geno Suárez. The perception of other front offices is that the Diamondbacks owner, Ken Kendrick, does not want to sell, especially with the Dodgers drifting back in the pack in the NL West. As of this Thursday night, Suárez wasn't even officially on the market. The Diamondbacks, who reached the World Series in 2023 after just winning 84 games during the regular season, won their first 3 games after the All-Star break, but have subsequently lost 3 in a row. What some rival evaluators believe is that if the Diamondbacks sell, it will be because of the nudge from the front office. Arizona has been extensively scouting other organizations in preparation for a possible sell-off. That came from John Heyman. So when we talk about Geno Suárez and we talk about the guys on the Arizona Diamondbacks, it seems as though we don't even know if these guys are going to be leaving, because the Diamondbacks seem that they're still contenders with the San Diego Padres and the San Francisco Giants. I don't understand. They're 4 games out of the wild card. The Giants are 1 game out, and the Padres are currently in the playoffs. And that's a lot of teams to jump. I mean, I guess there is a lot of head-to-head battles in the AL West or in the NL West that can be had. So I don't know. I don't know.
If I'm the Diamondbacks, I am blowing it up, man. I don't that team, unless they're going to add up a bunch of pieces of the trade deadline. But I still think they're pretty far away from winning a World Series. I mean, they're even the pitchers that they love, who are supposed to be their cornerstones, are just not. Zach Gallen has not been that good, Sean.
No,
he's not that good. I mean, listen, I know it's inside of it. We've seen it, right? We've seen him Cy Young candidate, but he's just this year he just doesn't have it, man. Same as Sandy Alcantara.
And here I'll say this, and this goes out to my other homeboys in 4-Star Chicago sports. Players have bad years.
Yeah,
Zach Gallen could be a Cy Young Award winner again next year.
Yeah,
a la Montez Sweat. He had a bad year.
I mean, you're still going to get.
He can't be an All-Pro this year.
Even if they do trade him, they're still going to get some damn good prospects for him, because the potential, because people know, they've seen it before, right? He's proven he could pitch in the majors. People will give up a ton of prospects to have a guy like Zach Gallen and hope that he gets back to that ceiling, that potential. But right now, this season, if I'm the Diamondbacks, I don't see how are you competing? I mean, if I'm the Diamondbacks, I'm certainly getting rid of Suarez for sure. There's just he just doesn't do anything.
They should.
All right, Sean, let's look ahead.
Oh boy, oh boy, this is gonna be.
Sean, real quick, TJ, I don't know if I've ever seen you in here before. Thanks for joining the show, man. Really appreciate it. TJ says last night's game looked like the Cubs were already looking past the White Sox to the Brewers series. They look completely uninterested.
That's kind of what we're saying, man.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, TJ. I think they are focused on that Brewer series, or they're just having a really, really bad stretch. Something's going on with the Cubs, and it's not panic mode at all by any means necessary. You guys, the Cubs still have the best run differential in baseball. They're a damn good team. They're just going through a bad stretch, and like Sean said, the Cubs need to do something to turn this around, because don't let it snowball, because it could get out of hand pretty quickly here. But yeah, there's no reason you should get your ass whooped by the White Sox guys. And I'm not saying that because it's Chicago Cubs rival. I'm saying that because the White Sox just aren't that good of a team.
37-win baseball team, dude.
Yeah,
you shouldn't be getting your teeth kicked down your throat by the Royals or the White Sox.
Sean, is that the most runs they've scored all season, the White Sox?
No. That I don't know. I do know.
Bruce, maybe you can look that up for us. Was the 12 runs? There's 12, right?
It was 12 runs, yeah.
Is 12 runs the most the White Sox have scored all season?
I will tell you this. The Cubs have only given up 10 runs 4 times before the All-Star break. They've done it 3 times since the All-Star break.
Yeah, and to teams where if you look at they're doing it to teams where if you look at their batting order,
oh God,
it's a lot to be desired. The Royals are not a very good.
The Royals, this shouldn't have happened against the Royals.
The Royals are not good, guys. I mean, they're competitive, but they're not. They should not be beating the shit out of you.
They shouldn't be hitting the ball out of the park like they. I mean, it was it. I know it wasn't every other hitter, but it surely felt like it.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's look ahead, John. Let's predict what we think the Cubs are going to do, and this is going to be the toughest one all season, man. Because when are they going to snap out of this? Is the question.
Looking ahead, let's hope, my friends. Hold on one second. Here.
Everybody in the chat, if you guys want to give us your record prediction for the next week,
yeah,
we'll be back here on Saturday. So at the end of every show, we do this thing where we predict the Cubs record in this looking ahead of the week ahead. So
here we go.
Feel free to put your record predictions out there. This one's going to be tough because, like I said, they're in a tough spot right now, dude.
This one's going to be really tough. So we got Horton versus Savale and Brown versus Burke. God damn it. You cannot run Brown back out there. So before we get into this, Brown is listed as a starter, but this is what I mean. And I mean this wholeheartedly, and I've said this last week. I said it on Tuesday when we were at River Street, and I'm going to say it again today. It is the end of July. You cannot keep running out bullpen games. You 100% got to knock that shit off.
TJ's got a question for us, man. He says
What's up,
here, he says,
brother?
will you guys be annoyed with the Cubs on August 1st if they are still sitting with most of the Bellinger's salary dump in their pockets?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, I
I
will.
will.
Yes,
All
I
right,
will.
Sean, what's your prediction here? So I'm
All
going to
right,
go.
let's get this in. John, I should have, I let you guys talk me out of taking 4 and 3 last week. I would have been on the Cadillac board this week if I just stuck to my guns.
I originally said 4 and 3 too, and I changed it to 5 and 2. Remember, I should have stayed where I was at too. There's no way I could pick Ben Brown to win until I start seeing him win. So I'm going to go 1-1, Sean.
I am gonna do this. This is gonna sound so stupid.
No,
I'm gonna I'm taking the Cubs to take these next 2. I just feel like the Cubs have to bounce back here. They really do, and I think the bats come alive. I think it's time to go, and it's giddy up time. Yesterday, this is what I expect. I said it a little bit ago. They got their teeth kicked in by the Yankees and turned around, and it was a wake-up call, and they played solid baseball for 2 games after that. My heart is going to tell me that's what's going to happen against a not good but steadily improving Chicago White Sox baseball.
Yeah, but Sean, what if they just have the same outcome they did against the Royals, and Ben Brown's the guy who – I mean, this could be the same outcome as the Royals.
I'll be honest. They have Ben Brown listed as the starter. I'm not sure he's going to make that start on Sunday. I'm not sure.
Who else do they have?
I don't know what they're going to do, but I don't know.
I don't know. Just remember.
I don't know that you can run Ben Brown back out there, dude.
Just remember this: the Royals beat the Cubs by scoring 12 runs in Game 1. I think the Royals scored.
Yeah.
And then the Cubs beat the shit out of the Royals. I think it was like 6-0. Yeah. And then the Royals came back and they had 4 2-run home runs and beat the shit out of the Cubs again. So if this series is anything like that one, they're going 1-1.
Yeah, for sure.
That's right, John. Look forward. Don't look back. Throw in your prediction, John.
Yeah, come on,
so
John.
What do you got, Bruce? The next 2 against the White Sox.
I think 2-0.
All right, Bruce is.
What a surprise! Bruce is the Cubs to go 2-0.
Yeah, please tomorrow.
Yeah, John says 1-1. John says 1-1. Sean, you got John written down there?
John's 1-1. I'm
yeah, he's got 1-1. Let's put him up.
John 1-1. All right. Oh boy, here it is, boys.
Yeah, John said 5 and 2 last week too, right?
Yep, John was 5 and 2.
We were all wrong.
Here we go. The Cubs at Wrigley North. You got Boyd Mizorowski, Ray Priester, Shota, and a bullpen game. And so I put the left-handed starters against the Cubs in parentheses now, because we know this is a big deficiency for the Chicago Cubs in 2025. So,
Sean, I'm going 1 and 2. Cubs.
You're going 1 and 2. Kyle, I am going to go opposite of you. I'm going to say the Cubs win the Mizorowski game. I say they lose the Priester game. They bounce back, and Shota bounces back, and the Cubs win that, and the Cubs are 4-1 heading into the next series. What do you got there, Brucey?
Beats up
4-1.
3-0 of a first week.
Or yeah, it would be.
Oh yeah, because you got him sweeping the White Sox for the next 2.
I got him taking the White Sox.
Yeah. So John's got him showing at 2-1. So right now John's got him at 3 and 2, and I have him at 1 and.
You have him at 2 and 3.
At 2 and 3, yeah.
Yep, and Bruce.
3-0.
Thanks a lot, TJ. We appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for subscribing, dude. Please show
Bruce
up.
Bruce is going for the sweep.
TJ, we're here every Saturday just shooting shit, talking about the Cubs, man. So feel free to join every Saturday noon, man.
Hell yeah, TJ, man. Thank you so much. That means the world to us, man. Greatly appreciate it. Throw in your predictions for the week. We'll look forward. We're gonna come up with a prize. We're gonna come up with a prize for y'all. John, you're the lone fish right now. So, okay, and
Bruce has the Cubs going 30-0.
Bruce has the Cubs at 5-0.
Yeah.
5-0 bouncing. He's got the Cubs bouncing back strong.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I'm going to have the Cubs losing the next game if I can.
This is my
find it.
birthday. They have to win on that.
Kyle, this is actually a
John
picture.
said, "Did I win?"
This is actually a picture I took, Kyle, from our seats when we were at the game on Monday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. All right, so I am taking the Cubs to lose this first game of the Orioles series because this Trevor Rogers has now 7 starts and looks outstanding.
This guy has been involved in trade conversations with the Cubs as well.
If you can get this guy, giddy up, because these analytics and his starts are really, really nice. And I looked into him at this 174 under an average, and I was like, oh shit, the Cubs ain't hitting this guy. So
if the Cubs could get this guy here, he's young too, right?
yes.
Yeah, he's really young. I would do that in a heartbeat. All right, Sean. John's got him going 2-1.
Okay. And Kyle?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. You know what? This is the Orioles. I'm going 3-0, man.
Whoa!
Oh.
Dude, the
Nice.
Orioles suck.
Yeah.
That team sucks, dude.
Bruce?
3-0.
All right, Bruce. All right, Bruce.
Yeah.
The Cubs don't lose a game for the rest of the
Bruce
season.
has got the Cubs on an 8-game
Yeah.
winning streak.
Yeah, Bruce, you got him
All
at
right.
8-0, man.
And also, it's
All
my
right,
birthday.
so-
They have to win. They have to.
So John and Kyle have the Cubs at 5-3. I have the Cubs at 6-2. And honestly, we just screwed this up. We have to actually take one off.
Yeah, because we're not going to see that last game.
Yeah, we're not going to see Sagano and Eflin.
I was going to say that, but I don't want to.
So no, we're going to take this off. I'm going to take 2 wins away from the Cubs.
So take 1 win away from me.
1 win away from you. 1 win away from Bruce. John, what do you want? 1 win away from you too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
TJ said 1-1 in the last series against the Orioles. TJ's got 1-1.
Doesn't say it's.
You don't, we won't be here for that second game. When the clock is on there, folks, that means that all games are at 1:20. Normally, I'll put the time on there, but if the clock's on,
Yeah,
there,
we'll be here for the start of it. Dante Purify is in the house, Sean. He says scrubs.
he said, "What did he say?"
Scrubs.
Scrubs.
Oh, Dante's a Sox fan.
He's got-
Oh, that's my boy.
but those are Red Sox, bro.
Hey, Dante, you're gonna be proud of this one. I had to give the Sox their props. Here you go. The Southside beatdown, 725-25. I'm giving the Sox their props here. They beat us down. It's their first win over the Northsiders in 2 years, so we'll give them a little.
Sean,
give them a little.
John's got 4-2.
John's got
Nice.
4-2.
Yeah.
Overall.
I have 4-2 as well. Kyle, you have 3-3, and
Yeah.
Bruce has
6-0.
6-0.
Good luck.
Hey TJ, if you want to get in, 3 games against the Brewers, I'll throw them back up for you here. 3 games against the Brewers: Boyd versus Mizorowski, Ray versus Priester, Shota versus Cortez, and then
Hey, Dante, have fun, man. Have fun at the game tonight, bro.
oh, you had it. Oh, good luck. Hey, let's go Northsiders. Let's go Cubbies. But I hope you have a great time, Dante.
Have fun, Dante.
And then we have the last 2 against the White Sox. Here, where did I do it? That one. Last 2 against Savali and Horton versus Brown and Burke. The only reason I'm kind of looking at Burke is the Cubs kind of beat the crap out of him when he was at Wrigley, and these bats are gonna come alive. I mean, they're gonna come alive. They can't stay silent.
Sean, TJ's got 0-3 against Milwaukee.
All right. So
Okay.
TJ, 1, 2, 3, 0-3 against Milwaukee. And you had, what did he have against
Well, against Baltimore, he had 1-1, but it's only going to be 1 game, right?
Yeah, it'd only be one game. So tell us if your first game, the Rogers game, is a win or loss, and then Horton versus Rogers, if that's a win or loss, and then the 2 against the White Sox here to wrap up the Crosstown Classic.
All right, TG. So we got you at 0-3 against the Brewers. We're looking for your prediction against Horton Rogers for Baltimore, that first game, because we'll be on here while they're playing. That second game's being played. And then we're looking at your prediction for the White Sox series, these last 2 games they have left.
Where did I do with the White Sox?
Tell you what I would do with them.
Dye him red. Let's see if he pops it up.
Either way, Sean, TJ, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining the show, man. Dante, thanks for stopping in. John, you're the man. Always here the whole show.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, dude. Love talking Cubs with you, John. Obviously, Bruce in the chat today. Always active in the chat. We appreciate it. Dean, you're the man. Thanks for joining the show. Kyle Harris joined us today. Elizabeth was here.
Yeah.
Who am I missing, Sean? Mike P was here. We appreciate you, Mike. Thanks for joining the show. Anybody watching on Twitter, once again, please go over to our YouTube page, hit that like and subscribe button. Lindsay Gruber, our social media expert herself, was in the chat today, guys.
Oh, yeah.
If I missed you, I apologize. We appreciate everybody so much. Vernon was here as well. Appreciate you for joining the show.
You know what? Now that we got 5 people involved here, Kyle, I'm going to get something together.
Wait, Sean, we got a new one. Gaming with Jason has made his projections. Yeah, Jason, thanks for joining the show as well, man. I almost forgot about Jason, dude. Gaming with Jason has some. He's right there with Bruce.
Bruce, or 6-0 with Bruce.
Ooh,
yeah, man.
That's nice, Jason. Ooh.
Sean, TJ says 1-4 over the next 5. I really, really, really hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, he had one against the White Sox though. So he's 2-4. He's a 2-4.
So TJ's 2-4. Jason's got the sweep. Bruce has the sweep. Sean, your record and you and John are the same, right? You guys are 4.
We're 4-2. You're 3-3.
Yeah, I'm 3-3.
Yep. I got it on the old Cadillac board.
All right, guys. All right, boys.
Yeah.
We're going to keep track of this stuff. Somebody's going to win a prize. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah, I got some shit here. We'll have to hook up on social media and send me an address or something, and we'll send you something out here.
We'll send you some
Yes.
All right, Sean.
This is going to be a lot of fun.
Anything else before we get out of here?
No, just thank you for everyone that joining us. Everybody on X, man, if you could pop over to 4-Star Chicago Sports on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe. We greatly appreciate y'all hanging out with us. 120 is the second biggest crowd we've had on this show as it continues to grow. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it and love you guys so very much for your support. It means the world to us, to Kyle and I. We're getting heated, and I think we're going to have some more heated battles here as this hunt for October continues on the north side. Hopefully the Cubs, we're talking about a trade, and I'll be honest with you, if we have the trade deadline here coming up, if the Cubs make a big trade, bet your bottom dollar, be looking for the Northside Nine to have a pop-up show. If Kyle can't be on the show because he does work in the evening, I will handle it myself. But if something big happens on the north side, we're definitely going to be popping on here. I might even have a very special guest that would be willing to jump on during the week with us if the Cubs make a trade. So stay peeled for that. And
Sean, real quick before we get out of here, TJ says you guys think they would make a change at left field. He's pretty much sick of Ian Happ. He said he'd rather see Owen Casey there. Yeah, I would rather see Owen Casey there as well, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Owen Casey is probably almost guaranteed on his way out of Chicago on a trade at some point. I do think you will see them move Happ around a little bit, give him some days off here, though, because the guy is struggling mightily.
Kyle, we do have something to get to before we get out of here. I am so sorry. I can't believe I almost forgot this. We're a baseball show, so we have to talk about baseball history. And a rookie who was drafted 4th overall, Nick Kurtz, never in baseball in 150 years as a player finished with at least 6 hits, 6 runs, and 8 RBIs until Nick Kurtz last night for the Oakland Athletics. Guys, this isn't a flash in the pan. This is what this gentleman has done. Do we get TJ in here? Yeah, okay, TJ, we got TJ. Nick Kurtz has done over since May 20th. Guys, I'm going to tell you something about Nick Kurtz and what this guy has done.
This kid's amazing.
Yes.
19 total bases in that game yesterday, John.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yes.
He's tired. That's like playing a football game.
Dude, since June 1st, okay? Nick Kurtz ranks in MLB since June 1st. First in average, first in OPS, first in extra base hits, first in WRC plus, second in home runs, second in doubles, second in RBIs. This kid is unstoppable. He is the first rookie in MLB history to ever hit 4 home runs in a baseball game. Since RBIs became official in 1920, he's the only player who has had over the course of an entire career a game with 4 home runs, 5 extra base hits, 6 runs, and 8 RBIs. He did it all. When you start looking at the 43 game stretch with 186 plus plate appearances and an 870 OPS. I'm going to give you the names of players in baseball who have been able to do this in the history of the game. We're going to change up some wonderful stats here because this guy his July numbers are even more outstanding.
Jesus.
But 870 plus slug in a 43 game stretch, dude. Check this out. These are the names he's with. Babe Ruth did it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. Lou Gehrig did it 4 times. Jimmy Fox twice. Joe DiMaggio once. Ted Williams once. Mickey Mantle and Frank Robinson once. Frank Thomas and Jeff Bagwell once. Albert Bell once. Mark McGwire twice. Barry Bonds 3 times. Sammy Sosa once. Ryan Howard once. Giancarlo Stanton once. Shohei Ohtani twice. Aaron Judge. And welcome to the list, Nick Kurtz this season.
I feel like this guy should have been the first pick in the draft.
You're right.
Jeez, this guy's amazing, dude.
I mean,
good for the Sacramento A's. I'll call them. And soon to be the Vegas A's. Good for them, man. Because that organization's had a rough run. But this kid he's amazing. Talk about good for baseball. Talk about good for baseball.
2025 numbers too overall.
And he's 22 years old.
Mm-hmm. Dude, he was the number 4 over pick last year. Now check this out too. Since real time has kept stats, these are the best 2 baseball games played in the modern era. Shohei Ohtani last year and Nick Kurtz this year.
Yeah, and it's not his fault there wasn't more men on base when he hit his 4 home run. I mean, if more men had been on base, he would have been better than Ohtani. Ohtani just had better RBIs.
Dude, and if you go back and because I watched this morning the highlights of his at bats because someone on X put together a great monologue of all of his at bats from yesterday. Dude, the pitch locations were scattered all over the edges of the box, and the last one was outside of the box. And I think it was the last home run was a 97 hitter high and inside that he drove out of the park to left field. It's just unbelievable. I know we're all caught up in the PCAs and no one really pays attention to the Oakland A's. And this guy's flying under radars. And that's kind of why I wanted to bring it to light, for the 121 people that were very.
Sean, there is one question, though. I got one question for you, though. Where did he do that?
He was in Houston. It was in Houston last night.
Okay.
It was at Houston.
Okay. It's not in that.
I looked at that too.
Yeah, that minor league Sacramento stadium that's like 280 to left field.
Now let me ask you this though: are his stats? I mean, he's still hitting major league pitching, but are his stats aided partly because he's in the minor league system? Does anyone?
You mean minor league ballpark? Yeah, probably.
Minor league ballpark, I meant, yeah.
I think a lot of the A's stats are, I mean, it sucks for the pitchers for the A's because they're pitching at that. But the hitters, I think all their offensive players are being aided by that tiny park they play in, for sure.
Oh, so what do you got? A couple he went Apple 3 of the 4 home runs. Yeah, he did. It was amazing because I had my daughter last night. So I turned the Cubs game off, I think, after the top of the 8th. I was done throwing up on the table. So I
didn't want to watch John Birdie pitch, Sean?
No. I turned that off, and then I just like couldn't watch sports.
Sean, there was a point in that game that I think the Cubs had. Remember, I was working, guys, so it's tough for me to watch. I only get a chance to rewatch some of the games, not all of them. Obviously, being on this show at noon today, didn't have a good chance to watch it. But there was a point in that game. I think the Cubs had men on first and second. PCA was up 0 out, and PCA hit a fly ball that was probably about 3 feet short of a home run.
Mm-hmm.
When that ball fell
Wow.
short
I
of the
think it was about a
fence,
foot short.
well, that fell short of the fence. I'm like, well, that's it. This game's over. If that would have been a home run, and right there, I think it would have been 5-3 or 6-3. Then I'm like, all right, I think the Cubs have a chance. But when I saw that ball in and that the outfielder's hand, I'm like, this game's over.
Yeah.
And then they didn't. I don't think they scored a single run in that inning, did they?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
I kind of felt that way too, and I'll tell you the biggest thing that hurt me yesterday, that really crushed my soul, was the fact that I don't think Shota should have ever have come out for that third inning. Take him out, short rest, look at the tape, and get him ready for Milwaukee. I thought that was the second time that I'm calling Craig Counsell out. He did it to Jordan Wicks. He's done it to Ben Brown.
Yes.
Ben Brown, I guess I'm okay with, but he shattered Jordan Wicks when he did it to him.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. Again, that was a Jim DeShays thing. Oh, maybe you can bring him out for the third inning. You can get 3 outs and you can preserve some of your bullpen. You have to preserve Shota.
Yeah.
He was off. You should have never have brought him out for the third inning. I'm not a coach.
Yeah.
I'm just a stupid podcaster. But I'll be honest, I thought that was a god awful mistake by Craig Counsell yesterday.
Yeah, he's made a few of them. Let's let these poor folks get to their days, man.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We got this Southside rivalry going on tonight.
Yeah, you guys, thanks for hanging in. A really long show today for Saturday. Usually don't get over 2 hours, but you guys are doing such a good job in the chat. It's just so much good interaction. We wanted to stay here as long as we could. Hopefully the Cubs have a much better week this week than they did last week. Next time when we talk to you guys on Saturday, it'll be a much more positive conversation. I have a strong feeling, Sean, by Saturday, we're going to be talking about some new names in the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah.
I have a feeling as well, and I have a feeling we're going to have a pop-up show, and I'm praying that the pop-up show's tomorrow, ahead of the Milwaukee series. Hey, but until then, guys, if we don't see you tomorrow, let's go Cubbies. Let's get back on track with these next two. We'll see you all for what's going to be an unfiltered, highly contested Hallis Hall hangover on Monday. I guarantee you're not going to want to miss this. There's going to be bullets. There's going to be fire on Monday.
There will be blood,
especially on the national media in Chicago. So, and then we'll see you on Wednesday, and then we'll see you back on Thursday, and then back here next Saturday for more baseball talk. But until then, let's go sweep those Brewers.
Let's go.
Fuck the Brewers.
Yeah.
Love y'all.
Yeah, love y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Peace. Thank you guys so much. Peace.
Peace.